Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Black Spitter Music Podcast. Tonight's episode, we're going to celebrate John Lennon's birthday. That was on this past Monday on the 9th. And the way that we're going to celebrate his birthday is we're going to go through each Beatle album and pick out our favorite John Lennon track off of each album. And joining me tonight is Mark Alden Taylor from the Freeform Rock Podcast and the BS Sessions as well. And also DJ Metal Mike, which is he does the metal station. He's the head honcho there, and also the podcast with
Bushy, the plug.
Nate Atkinson, a great podcast. Check it out. It's available on
Thank you.
Apple and all other podcasting areas. And also joining us tonight is Charles Trainer for the Freeform Rock Podcast. Catch them on Fridays. They review a new album every Friday, and he is joining us tonight. Also, the Kate Doré from Street Vinyl. She'll be here in just a couple of minutes. She's having a little bit of issues. We'll start without her for now, and then she'll catch up. So, what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is that the panel and we are going to go by each Beatle album, pick out our favorite John track. The White Album, we will have two, and on the Past Masters, we'll also pick two. The Past Masters is a singles collection with their A's and B's. So we are about to start. Of course, we'll start at the beginning, and the great Kate Doré has finally joined us.
Hello. Apologies.
Oh, no apologies. We were just introducing the show, so we're about to get started. We'll just go the way that we're in line there with Mark, Mike, Charles, Kate, and myself. So let's get going. Go ahead, Mark. What's your favorite John track on Please Please Me?
Please Please Me. Ask Me Why. You don't have to ask me why, but it's a great song. I love it. It's fucking awesome. There's nothing you could say about Perfection. That song just rules.
Yeah, and it's so great to find it so early in their career and sounded like nobody else with their instrumentation and the lyrics. Where they pinned that one themselves, right? That's a self-pinned out song.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's what I thought. So great pick. Mike, what's your favorite pick from there?
Believe it or not, I love that song, and it came this close to being mine. But I kind of went, even though it's kind of a hit. Well, it is a hit, and their version of this song is probably the most version. But I just love John's vocals, and from what I understand, they had done like several takes, so his voice was almost like raw, and that's why you could just hear the. But I love the way he sings "Twist and Shout" and just the musicality of it and everything, the musicianship. I just love John's vocal delivery, so I picked that one.
Yeah, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, man.
Yeah. Even though I know it's like a more popular song, but I just was like, I don't know. I just thought, like I said, I really like John's vocals on it. It's kind of raw and in your face, and I dig that.
Song has so many covers, but this is the best version, I believe.
My number 2 version's Rodney Dangerfield's.
Back to school.
Back to school.
Especially when he's like, lower, baby, lower.
So you didn't like the Oingo Boingo scene in Back to School? Okay.
Oh, goddamn.
You just had to go there, didn't you?
They were there. They were a big part of that movie.
You're right. They are.
Thank you.
They are.
Go ahead.
I thought that talking about John Lennon will keep Oingo Boingo out of today's episode, but I guess
he'll find a way.
Cool. If
Charles,
you didn't say Back to School, I would have said Oingo Boingo. There you
go. Charles, what's your favorite track off of Please Please Me by John?
I'm on my whole list. I picked no covers, so even though Twist and Shout is phenomenal, it's a cover. So I picked the one right before it. It's called "There's a Place." I think that showed the difference in the songwriting abilities at that time between John and Paul, and I think John shows a little more maturity in his songwriting, a little less that Moon, Spoon, and June thing. And it does really lead right into Twist and Shout. You hear the reason why you hear that performance on Twist and Shout is because John's voice was completely gone. Matter of fact, there was repercussions for that for a while with his singing voice, and you hear it in There's a Place as well. So I think they say he drank like a gallon of milk or something right before he did Twist and Shout to get through it, and 2 takes maybe. I don't maybe I don't know if he went more than 2 takes on that.
Yeah.
His voice was gone. So There's a Place both for the performance and the. I think you get a good preview of what John's going to do with his career with that song. So
Yeah, I really like that song too. And the reason why his voice was hoarse, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that they had recorded that whole album that one day in 11 hours.
yeah,
If I'm not mistaken. So all
yeah,
that all in
Yeah, it says right here the Beatles did a second cover of the song in '63, you know, because the Isley Brothers and a few other people done it. This
Yeah.
song was made most popular by the Beatles with John Lennon's diverse vocals, which for being the last track recorded in an exhausting day-long session, showing some wear and tear in his voice. And you can definitely hear it, you know, and
Yeah.
you can hear it in the song Charles is talking about too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's rock and roll, man. That is rock and roll. Love it. Kate, what's going to be your favorite track off here?
So I went with Twist and Shout as well. The shredded voice just kills me. It's so good. And it's been called the most famous single ever taken in rock and roll history. The release in the US, the single is on VJ Records, and it was Charles's pick and this. So Charles's pick was the B-side to Twist and Shout. So then you can imagine like them on Ed Sullivan in February of '64. I mean, come on. And then it charted again in '86 when Ferris Bueller and Back to School came
The
out.
Ferris Bueller.
So it's back on the charts again, even that far away, like that much time, and it charts again.
Right, yeah. It was just, it's an amazing song, and that's why I picked it too. Also for Twist and Shout. Just because of the same reasons that y'all point out. His vocals, he put his all into it. The whole band put everything into that.
And like a good cover, they put their stamp on it. One of the things I like, and I feel, and Mark and I have talked about this before. I don't want to. It's just like a remake with a film. I don't want to see the same damn movie I've seen before with different actors that are better budget special effects. Now, put your stamp on it. I mean, like, I love The Thing from Another World, but I love John Carpenter's The Thing too. And both are totally different. Same with Cronenberg's version, The Fly, and then the original. Love them both, but they're different. And that's what the Beatles did with this, man. They did that with a lot of their covers. They would put their own stamp on it,
That's like Aerosmith would come together, man. They put their own stamp on it.
Yeah. And like the Motown covers that they would do on their next album, they really made that their own kind of sound, even though they came from Motown, which is a completely different thing. But the tracks are picked by Mark and Charles were also just as good. I was going back and forth on a couple.
I'm saying, right? Yeah.
I think I agree with Charles. I don't think I picked one cover.
Yeah.
I picked songs they wrote.
Yeah,
this is the only one that I did pick a cover on.
Yeah, me too. I really couldn't pass this one up. I love it so much.
They're so much better than their covers. That's why I didn't do a cover. Yeah, Twist and Shout rules, but their original stuff is
though, when I got to be honest with you, though, for years I thought it was an original.
I did
That's
too.
the only version I'd ever heard. I had no idea it was a cover song.
Back then, I thought the same thing when I saw Ferris Bueller. I thought that was actually just the Beatles song, and then my mom likes the doo-wop and all that stuff. She said, "No, it's this dude," and I go, "Oh."
So moving on, the next album with the Beatles. What do you got on their second album, Mark?
It won't be long. Yeah. It won't be long. Fucking love that song. That's a fucking earworm. You hear that song fucking 6 a.m, you're still singing it, and just before you go to bed, whatever time that is, the song is in your head all fucking day. I love it.
Every time I hear that song, it reminds me of me watching the documentary, The Complete Beatles. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Yep.
I want to
It's
see
a great documentary. It's one of my favorites. And that song is prevalent in one of the while in the middle of Beatlemania, they're playing that song, which is a really good scene.
I did see the band Beatlemania at Knott's Berry Farm. They were huge at that time back in the 80s. There was a band called Beatlemania,
Oh, yeah,
and they did
yeah.
all the errors of the Beatles.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
was fucking cool. And nobody remembers them. I said, I think they were the original Beatles cover band.
They were. And I don't know if you know this, Mark, and not to get in the Kiss vortex, but Gene Simmons' solo album, some of his like Beatlesque songs that he did, he wanted John Lennon and Paul McCartney to be on his album, and they couldn't do it, you know? So he's like, screw it, I'll get the guys from Beatlemania to do it. And, you know, so for songs like See You Tonight, and some of those other, like Mr. Make Believe, some of those other more Beatlesque type songs, which are probably the better songs on that album, because that's a terrible solo album. But anyway, you know,
Yeah, now they got the Fab Four, which is a really good Beatles cover band.
I saw a really cool Beatles cover band or tribute band from Liverpool called the Mercy Beatles. They were really, really good, man.
Nice.
So Mike, what's your next pick?
I have to echo my he is my brother from another mother, but from a day apart. Man, it won't be long. Yeah. Yeah. I fucking love that song, man. It's just like, hell yeah. Like he says, it's infectious. It gets in your head, and you're like all day today. A song's been in my damn head because we were doing this.
It don't go away, man.
It don't go away, but I mean, I don't mind. It's not one of those songs where I'm like, you know, I mean, it's a great tune. So I think John's great in it. Again, the musicianship. I don't, you know, because a lot of times when people talk about the Beatles, oh, they're amazing songwriters. They don't really talk about their musicianship. And that's one thing I loved about Rick Rubin's documentary with Paul McCartney, where
that was like awesome.
That was amazing.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
So much so that I wish Rick would make a series of it and get other famous bass players to just isolate
because he
tracks.
seems more interested in that and producing albums.
Yes. Oh yeah. Like, look, I mean, hey, to be fair, at one point in time, Rubin was an amazing producer, but but now he's like, oh, I'm going to sit on my couch and just take it all in. Wow. You know, it's like, okay, dude. But hey, yeah, I love that documentary because, you know, it makes you realize, not that I didn't realize that Paul was a great bass player. I mean, hell, I saw the man live. He's amazing. But, and Johnny Cash said that Paul McCartney was probably the most talented person he ever met because the man can literally play every instrument. Yes, he can. And is very versed.
If he comes back, I need to take my wife to him because she only seen Ringo, and I feel bad for her because
I missed Ringo when he was in town this time, man. But I saw Queens of the Stone Age, so you know, same night.
Hey, Edgar Winter is fucking funny as fuck.
He was hilarious.
Yeah. Charles, what's your next one?
There's a place It Won't Be Long is great, but relegated to an album track because of like She Loved You, and that's why it was put on the album instead. It was a candidate to be a single, but it got put on the album. Not gonna go with that one though. I'm gonna go with the song that inspired Nirvana's About a Girl. And that's gonna be Not a Second Time. Another original. It's just something about it. Again, it's a little bit ahead of its time. I don't know if it was just pure luck. Probably was that time. I mean, because John was still very young, as they all were.
Yeah.
But it showed, again, such a growth so quickly. I think it's a standout track on the album, musically as well.
Yeah, and it's so differently. Also, their songwriting, again, in 1964, the subjects that they were singing about and writing about, you know, it was not always sugar plums and happy rainbows. You know, sometimes there's that diversity in life, and that's where the Beatles came in. I think that's why people gravitated to them so much, because there were different emotions in their songs. Kate, what's your next one?
I went with It Won't Be Long. It's primarily a John composition, but this one, like they said, I mean, it just gets in your head. But there's a lot of interesting stuff behind this album versus the US release, when it's like Meet the Beatles is the US release. But what happened November 22nd, 1963, when this album dropped in the UK?
When,
History time.
JFK.
Yep. So they had a bunch of interviews. They had a bunch of all kinds of different stuff planned for like U.S. media, and obviously all that stuff was canceled. So this allegedly was never performed live or on BBC. But what a killer track. I don't know. I love this song. And then even we've talked about it before, but even Across the Universe, like how they end up doing it and they pull it off, and that I think is well done. But I think you guys covered it pretty well. So I'm gonna go to Andy. What's your pick on this one?
My pick, none of y'all picked this one, which makes me double think that maybe this is a Paul song, but it's not. It's not. I picked All I've Got to Do is call you on the phone. You'll be coming home. That's all I've got to do. So that was my pick, and that's. But that one, but also Not a Second Time, such a good track. It Won't Be Long. It's such a celebrated track from them during that time. So very good songs. But you can't go wrong, right? You can't. Mark, what are you gonna do with A Hard Day's Night?
I should have known better.
Oh,
I love that fucking song. Fucking rules. That's a fucking nobody really talks about Hard Day's Night, right? I don't think so. I think that's a really fucking great album. Fucking we haven't reviewed it yet. That'll be done soon.
yeah, but, that's one of my favorites of their early. Oh, well, that is my favorite from their early years.
It's kind of middle. It's in the middle. I like that album.
Yeah, it's a really good one. It is. I used to jam that for the longest time when I first got it. Mark, where are you gonna go?
All right, man. We're doing Hard Day's Night, right?
Yeah.
This song, I don't know what it is about. It's one again, kind of like the song before. It just gets in your head. It's also like, it's Tell Me Why, and when you listen to it, especially lyrically, it's not, every lot of times people, the Beatles always did lovey-dovey songs in the beginning. Not always, because sometimes it was about heartbreak and other things going on. And like this one, man, also to me, it sounds like this is lounge act John Lennon, especially with the little drum intro. It's like, and I just love Ringo's drumming on it. It's just a really, really cool song. I mean, Tell Me Why You Cried and Why You Lied to Me. Tell Me Why You Cried and Why You Lied to Me. I mean, it's very, very sad. And even Paul McCartney remarked, like several other Beatles songs primarily written by Lennon, Tell Me Why very well could have been based on John's personal life. McCartney actually remarked that a lot of these songs, like Tell Me Why, may have been based in either real experiences or affairs John was having, or arguments with Cynthia Lennon or whatever. But it really just didn't occur to us until much later on to put that slant to it all. So I definitely think there's some, you can kind of like even hear in John's vocals, but it's like, it's weird because it's this really upbeat tune, but the lyrics are very like heartbreak, hey, you're cheating on me, I know you're cheating on me, hell, we've all been there, man. It sucks. So that's my favorite.
I think I'm the only one that got a Dear John letter. My first wife left me when I came home.
Oh my god.
And moved everything out. So I understand the Beatles. There you go.
I got a Dear John letter too, and this was at wasn't my wife, but it was a gal I was dating. And then like a week later, she texted me and wanted to hang out. And I was like, okay, weirdo. Bye-bye now.
Yikes.
Yeah, I was like, so crazy someplace else. I'm all stocked up.
Yeah.
I got enough crazy. All right, which way are you going to go, Charles, with this one?
Well, before I get into Hard Day's Night is the best album of the early Beatlemania era, in my opinion. The only album, said it before, the only album, only Lennon and McCartney songs. I could have actually went with there's a couple on this one I could have went with. I'm Just Happy to Dance with You, which would break the trend of a George-led sung song, but that was written by John. It's a dark horse of a song. I'm really a big fan of that second side of the album, which usually is pretty much all non-film songs.
It is. Yeah.
I'd like I'll Cry Instead. I think it's a dark horse, but I'm going to go with You Can't Do That.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Which there actually is footage for the film on the, I think, bonus content of A Hard Day's Night. They just cut it from the film, but there was a performance with Mark's precious Phil Collins in the crowd. You can't do that. I just love it. Yeah, I always have. Should have made the film, but it was recorded. There was a scene filmed for it, but it wasn't in there. So I'm gonna go with You Can't Do That.
Yeah, and you can tell in John's songwriting, to get back to what Mike was talking about. You know, the songs sound happy, but man, the lyrics, there's
Mhm.
issues going on in his personal life. That's a great thing about a songwriter, and that's why we
Yeah.
love rock and roll so much. We can follow a songwriter and go through their personal life. You know,
Yeah.
later on we read their books or see a documentary and go back and and he or she, the songwriter, has been telling us this from the beginning. This is what I'm going through. So
Yeah.
you'll see
Well,
some closing.
one final thought of You Can't Do That also features a nifty guitar solo from John Lennon, who doesn't play a lot of lead throughout the Beatles era, but the band, but he did on this track. So that's kind of stand out about it too.
Oh,
Right
that's
on.
pretty cool. The next time I hear that track, I gotta pay attention to the solo, knowing that that's John, because I didn't know that. Kate, what's your favorite track off of this album?
I want to ask Charles if he said that the George Sung song is a dark horse on the album on purpose. Anyway,
Unintended, maybe.
yeah, pun intended or not. But my pick on this one, I mean, this is a pretty interesting album because the other first two, it's like half are covers on the whole album. This one's all originals, all Lennon McCartney songs. Ringo doesn't sing at all, and then like Charles said, there's one song where George is singing, so the rest of it's all the two of them, and it's like really taking shape of their like writing camaraderie that they had. So you're seeing a lot more of that.
Yeah.
But I went with If I Fell, and this is John saying that this is his first real attempt at a proper ballad. And you guys know me, usually I'm the ballad hater.
Yeah, you are.
Are
Beatles.
you? Are
Oh,
you?
yeah.
Are you?
The-
You've liked a lot of ballads on a lot of shows.
Yeah, but
That's
it's
the thing.
Beatles. It's all our Beatles shows because Beatles can write a fucking ballad that's killer. And that's most bands can't pull it off right. And that's what annoys me. Like you have a hair metal band or something trying to do a ballad, and usually it's shit. But theirs, their ballads are
I like
so
Firehouse. Whatever.
good. But they just
I
know
just
how to
threw up
write a
in my
ballad.
mouth.
I don't know. This one's such a sweet one, and especially after you listen to so many songs on this one that it's like he doesn't trust this person, or
Right.
he knows this person's being unfaithful, or like there's so much other stuff going on, and then this one having the lyrics of like, if I give my heart to you, would you promise to be true? It's like, oh man, it just gets you. It punches you in the gut. So, If I Fell is my pick on this one.
That's a
What's
great
your
song.
pick, Wendy?
Oh yeah, that's a great song. I almost picked that one too, but I
Yeah.
am going to agree with Mark on this one. I should have known better. That's such a great track, and I picked that one because that was always my first favorite song on this album. I remember I'm hearing the CD when I was a teenager, and just falling in love with "I Should Have Known Better."
Mm-hmm.
It's also one of my favorite clips in the movie when they're in the stage, well, not stagecoach, but inside the train, and they're playing their instruments and they're singing the song. They're like in a traveling where like all the suitcases are, I guess, or like the storage train, I guess is what I wanted to say. That's one of my favorite scenes in that movie. Mark, Beatles for Sale.
Beatles for sale. No reply because I like when he says, "If I were you, I'd realize that I love you more than any other guy, and I'll forgive you the lies." You know, it's like I'm like I've been through this. I'm like looking at this chick, and I go, you know what? I treat you better than those other guys, but I'm the one who's like getting the shaft. It's like I don't understand these chicks. You know, I've been there, man. Fucking song rules. No reply.
Great one.
Yeah, that's a good song. I like the way that in the bridge it just starts to climb up. The excitement climbs, and with a hand clapping, love it. All right, Mike, what's your next pick?
I'm a loser. I
That's a
love
good
that
one.
song, man. And
Mhm.
and one of the reasons why, again, very upbeat, up tempo, but when you read the lyrics, it was written primarily by John, and they were almost released as a single, but they opted for I
Oh,
Feel Fine instead. And according to Barry Miles's Beatles biography many years from now, uh, Paul McCartney's, thoughts on the songs were looking back on it. I think songs like I'm a Loser and Nowhere Man were John's cries for help. We used to listen to quite a bit of country and Western songs, and they were all about sadness and I lost my truck. So it was quite acceptable to sing I'm a Loser. You didn't really think about it at the time. It's only later you think, God, I think it was pretty brave of John to do a song like that.
yeah.
And what's funny is I guess there were some original pressings of the album where the title was printed as I'm a Losser. So, but the interesting thing about it too is Ozzy Osbourne's obviously avowed Beatles fanatic, kind of said that this song, as far as lyrically, was an inspiration for Secret Loser, which of course is from Ultimate Sin. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I was like, oh,
Well,
all right.
that is. I can't connect the two, but if that's
Well, if you listen to the lyrics, though, Ozzy, if you listen to what Ozzy's saying, only he's saying that I'm this huge rock star and all that, but deep down, I'm a alcoholic, I'm a failure, I'm a secret loser,
Mhm.
and with John, he's just flat out saying, hey, I'm a
flat
loser,
out,
But yeah,
and I'm not what I appear to be. That was
right.
some deep lyrics again in
Yeah.
1964. I mean, completely different from what anybody else was doing that I know of. You know. All right, Charles, what's your next one on this one?
Well, before I get to mine, Mark, so you've been there, you stalk your ex-girlfriends?
No, but I'm
you have
just
no reply?
no, I never stopped with that one lyric where I'm thinking,
No.
why is she
Okay. You
dating this
said you've
guy?
been
When I
there. I don't know. I
no,
don't
I've
know.
been there with that one lyric where it feels
The
like
one lyric, but the
no,
song's
it
about
feels
ode to stalking. But I mean, if
okay.
that's
Yeah,
what you're
I
into,
know, but I like that one lyric that hit me. You could interpret a song like you guys think Kurt Cobain's a great lyricist, but you interpret it different than I do. And that's fine.
who
Same thing,
said
I
that?
interpret
I
the
just
song
said I like
differently.
this song. Anyway, I'm gonna go with what Mike picked. I'm a loser. It's a standout Lennon track on there. Maybe out Dylaning Dylan, because I do think there was somebody out there at the time a little bit there, and it was inspired by Dylan. And
Mhm.
this is the early pot Beatles.
Yes.
Definitely, the Help would be, I think, considered the true pot album where they were really smoking so much pot they could barely make a movie. Hate to fast forward to that, but I think they might have been dabbling here on
Yeah.
their most perplexing album, in my opinion.
Mhm.
God, I hope nobody picks Mr. Moonlight.
The
Okay, there we go.
they always said that Dylan was the one that introduced them to pot. I don't know how
Yeah.
they would know that, but it was during this time, during '64, in the middle of Beatlemania, and with Dylan touring England, which both of them were iconic tours at that time. So
Mhm.
I love them both, but I'm a big, big Dylan fan. I love his music so much. All right, Charles went with I'm a Loser. What are you gonna go with, Kate?
All right, I know it's another cover, but I love Lennon's voice on rock and roll music. Um, I like it better than the Chuck Berry version, honestly. But this is a weird album for them. Like Lennon calls this his their country western album, but I feel like a lot of the songs aren't really country western. So I don't know. It's
No.
this when we did our ranking of all the albums, this was definitely lower on my list of choices. But
Maybe he meant lyrically.
yeah, yeah, it is a lot of sadder songs and stuff. So if he meant the vibe of it, I guess, as being old country western stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But the sound, the feel and the sound of it's more bluesy and I don't know. But rock and roll music, his voice is shredded. I always love when his voice is totally tuned up like that. Yeah.
Cool.
What's your
Very
pick,
good
Andy?
choice. My pick, it is going to go again. No Reply, along with Mark. I love
Mhm.
No Reply, but also was a very close second was I Don't Want to Spoil the Party. I love that track. I don't want to spoil
Yeah,
it.
it's
It's
excellent.
just a good song, and again, he wrote it beautifully, but then his voice also takes that character. You know, he can really play with the tone of his voice quite a bit to get you into that mood that he was in. I like
I
that
like
about him.
Babies in Black, but I don't know. I think that's a pretty much 50-50 composition, I think. But that's probably my favorite on the album. But
Yeah.
I'm a Loser. It's definitely John. So that's why I went with that.
Oh well, that was a big 1, 2, 3 punch to start off. I'm a
Very
Beatles.
top loaded album. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Very.
All right, guys, we are going to the album Help. Mark, what do you go with?
I'm gonna go with the title track, Help. I just love that fucking song. Help, I need somebody help. Help me if you can, I'm feeling down. It's fucking positive fucking song. It just fucking gets you going. Oh,
Well, I sent you guys that version. Like, he wanted it to be the minor, not a major. He wanted it to be a minor. I sent you guys that slowed down version.
yeah.
That's what he wanted, and then they forced him to do it with the up tempo version for the album.
I love the up tempo version now.
Yeah, I love the album version, but it's so interesting to hear that, you know, he wanted it to be more somber and have that down tempo minor thing going on.
And those backing vocals by the band is like fucking harmonies are just
so good.
Fucking perfect harmony on that fucking song. I love it.
So good.
I haven't heard that one that you sent, Kate. I was at work. So
check that out. It's so weird.
Check it out.
It's just like a studio, not even a demo. It's just him screwing around in the studio. But I'll post it on the page too. But it's really interesting to hear it that way.
Yeah. On the Deep Purple debut album, Shades of Purple, they do Help. They turn it into 7 minutes. And when John heard it, John said that's exactly how he wanted it, because it's very slow, and each word is really pronounced very painfully.
So did Mark's favorite group, the Carpenters.
Who?
The Carpenters did a cover. So
enjoy.
Oh yeah, they did. They did.
Pretty good. Better drumming than the dude from Night Ranger, I'll tell you that.
Hey, you gotta shout out Karen Carpenter, how talented she is.
What the fuck you going off on Night Ranger? Kelly Keegy rules. You try and drum and sing Sister Christian at the same time. See how you do it.
You ever watch the thing of Karen Carpenter drumming and singing?
Yeah.
Who?
She's better than him.
Yes.
I said, you ever watch that video of Karen Carpenter? I don't know what she's on. She's on Ed Sullivan or something, drumming and singing. She's better than him. But
it's like you don't need Prozac. You just listen to the Carpenters or ABBA and you'll just go to sleep.
Oh, leave ABBA and the Carpenters alone. They're great at what they do.
They're a great band, yeah.
Hey, somebody poked me, so it's not my fault here.
Poke the bear. I cut him off. Mark, did you have anything else to say about Help before I cut you off? I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
It's an ear candy song also.
Yeah.
It's a great song. Yeah, for sure.
Mike, what are you going to go with?
I don't know. Maybe I was when I listen to these records or these, because I just listen to the John songs, obviously, because that's what we're focusing on. And, but it's only love, and that is all. I love this song, man. Always have. Again, we've always been there where it's like you're both in love, but it's like you're like oil and water, and it just doesn't. And you fight all the time, and it's like you care about each other, and you love each other, but you just can't be together. And it's like doomed romance, man. And I'm a sucker for that. I know a little bit about this. All right, and I love this song. It's a great song.
And I got a different take on that song. I always thought that it was afraid to tell the girl that you liked her. And you were afraid.
It does kind of seem like it starts like almost as if he's loving her from afar, which again something I could relate to when I was younger. Because like right here, he says, "Why am I so shy when I'm beside you?" But then later he says, "Is it right that you and I should fight every night?"
Oh, that's true.
Just the sight of you makes nighttime bright, very bright. Haven't I the right to make it up, girl? So it to me, it's like, maybe it started off where he loved her from afar, and then he finally gets the girl.
And it's not what he thought it would be.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that was one of my favorite songs in high school because of the
Second Wife. There you go.
Like even here he says, yes, it's so hard loving you, you know. So it's like, yeah, it's like, you know, I mean, it is what it
that's a
is.
good point. The way that song can go, lead a different way. That's a great point. Charles, what do you do with help?
Well, first off, the title track Mark picked, I think it's really cool that it's got that positive spin to a negative song. I think that dichotomy is great. It's Only Love, I think, is one of those ones Lennon hated.
I know he
was
didn't
not
like
a fan of it. And
but I love it, man.
oh, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying what's wrong with him. Well, he did marry Yoko. On the
Okay.
People might make fun of Yoko, but man, he loved her. Loved her a lot.
It's like psycho, like fetishism
don't think
stuff.
I think his prescription of his glasses was off. But I'm going to go with the song that was on the film, and I think it was ironic, because I think it's the last song that kind of had a foot in Beatlemania era there, the last one, and that's You're Gonna Lose That Girl.
Oh, that's a great one.
That's a great one, though, man.
Love it. Love it.
I mean, dude, come on. You've got to hide your love away. You're going to lose that girl.
It's a ride.
You know, it's on. You know, like I said, yeah, Ticket to Ride. Yeah, that fucking song rules.
Were the Rolling Stones writing lyrics like that? I don't think so.
No, the Beatles were helping them write their shit.
At that point in time, yes, you're right.
Lennon always said that Ticket to Ride was the first metal song.
I don't hear that.
I don't hear that either.
Hear it.
That's
so
heavy. It was a little bit faster than normal.
But it was going to get into like Helter Skelter and like proto metal stuff.
Right.
I do not.
Or even the single version of Revolution. You know, the single version.
Yeah.
That's really heavy. One. Even I Want You So Heavy is kind of heavy for the time.
That gets heavy metaler. Yeah.
Yeah. This
that's
I'm
what
like.
He said.
I know, but I'm like, he might have been painting some heroin when he said it. I'm just saying, I'm like, I love you, John, but
but
come on, bro.
You're gonna lose. Yeah, You're Gonna Lose That Girl is could have been put out 64 era, 63.
Oh, for sure. And my brother Marky loves that song. Oh, he loves that song.
It's really ironic because it was Lennon that kind of tied the bow on the whole Beatlemania sound, and that was the thing with Hard Day's Night. That was John and his On Fire. That was such a John album.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul only had really a couple songs, great ones, but a couple. But yeah, I just love that sound of that You're Gonna Lose That Girl, and it's like the end of an era almost with that song.
It's like a sound of that era polished and done by professionals now. You know what I mean? It's a little bit crisper. It's a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, and when that's to me the stereotypical John Lennon voice too, and that's pull up Mark. It's the singing on it. I love so much, and that's that Lennon magic when he's on fire with that voice. So
yeah, it is.
There we go. Enough said on that.
Kate, what are you gonna pick off of help?
This one I picked. You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. I love that song. Great lyrics.
Song.
Great ballady song.
Ballads.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna
like ballads, man.
Yeah, well, like I said, when they're Beatles ones.
I'm gonna say
I don't hate that. I don't hate More Than Words. More Than Words is all right. But
bring up more things.
There's a bunch of all the how people are where they talk about a song and its meaning or like what the artist is singing about or writing about. This one, I mean, is it Lennon having to hide his marriage to Cynthia because they were trying to sell albums and be single young dudes, or is it there's one thing I was reading that it was like them writing about Epstein being gay and he had to hide his homosexuality at the time, obviously. So I don't know what exactly it's about. It's a different meaningful song to everyone who's listening to it. I mean, everyone in our crew probably has a different feeling about it and like when you had to feel that way about someone. So that's why I really dig this one a lot. And his voice on this is so good. And I love that. Hey, and
Yeah, the way he does that, he almost like
Yeah.
yells it like, "Hey!"
Yeah, when it's like so sharp. I forget who
It's fucking
they
great.
said who told him to do that, because it was somebody else, not even in the band, was like, you should start it this way and have that. And I'm like, it's so good, because imagine listening to it without that. So
Right, it wouldn't be the same.
yeah, but it's one of those big songs of like people learning acoustic Beatles guitar stuff. This and Norwegian Wood are like, or Blackbird, obviously, but like this is a big one that you hear people doing acoustic. So yeah, this is my pick.
Should have been about Yoko.
I think a lot
Put
of
her in the closet.
I think a lot of people want to learn the acoustic to the song because it goes through so many different sounds. It goes soft, it goes hard, it goes heavy. It's got a good strum to
Yeah, and
it.
it has a good pop to it at different parts, and then
Yeah.
it goes and settles out again.
Well, during this period, wasn't George playing that 12-string Rickenbacker a lot on a lot of these albums too? And that was influential on a lot of other bands that came along a little later. Like I think the Animals and a few other bands were like, "Ooh, I like that." Yeah, the Birds.
Yeah, the Birds is a big one.
Yeah.
So
but that I have a thing about like an influence, but we'll get to it. We're getting to that album. But,
so which one was first? Was it the Birds that he got it from, or was it?
No, George had it first.
George did it first.
He
Yeah.
was given the guitar by Rickenbacker and Company while they were in the States.
Okay.
He started playing it on Hard Day's Night, actually.
Yes.
Okay. Because I know that that the Birds are very well known for that, so I wasn't too sure which one came first, but I can see George doing it first. I'm going to agree with Kate. I'm going to go with "I Gotta Hide Your Love Away." It's a great track. And in fact, right now I'm going through my albums A through Z, as some of y'all know, and I'm in the middle of the Beach Boys party, and they do covers of "I Should Have Known Better," and also of I gotta hide your love away. So they do covers of those two songs, and they do it fantastically. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that album, The Beach Boys Party.
Me and Lee Gersman, we reviewed it on the Lee Gersman show.
Oh, really? Did you?
Yes, we did.
It's a very good, fun album too.
Yes, it is.
But that's why I went with "I Gotta Hide Your Love Away." And once again, this is this is going to be just like A Hard Day's Night. This is my favorite scene in the Help movie when they go into that weird bedroom and the beds are sunk underneath the ground and all that. And they're all sinking. It looks really cool. It looks very 60-ish, and they're playing that song. Just to say, the Astros are going to their 7th pennant in a row.
Wow.
Dodgers are getting swept.
That is wow.
Helps.
Dodgers are getting swept by a hot team. That happens every time. Fuck the bye week.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah, because your team fucking won. All the other bye week teams.
I think so too. I think Help is a very good album, but they really don't talk about it as much as they do a Hard Day's Night and the disaster of a Magical Mystery Tour. But Help has always been a fun watch.
Yeah, the album I think is the real, except for probably You're Gonna Lose That Girl, is the actual pivot point to the new Beatles. I think more so than any other album. I think this is the transition point.
More than Rubber Soul.
This is what set the table for Rubber Soul.
Okay, this is what
me.
That sound.
Yeah. And Rubber Soul set the table for the following album.
Right.
Yeah.
This is like that pivot point. This is the most different sounding album they've done, with the exception of a track or two. But there's definite steps forward here with like Ticket to Ride, songs like that. So my opinion on it. And the film is underrated.
But you can always hear it and see it. It's fantastic. All right, next album, right? Yes, next album. As we're speaking, Rubber Soul. Mark, what are you going to do with Rubber Soul?
Well, since I guess I liked a Stalker song, I guess I like another Stalker song. Run for Your Life.
I knew it.
That's
I would have put money on it, man.
Song. Yeah,
that's some shit where he turns dark as hell. Oh my god,
I love it.
That's some Dateline shit.
Yeah.
You better run
Chris
for your life
Hansen.
if you can.
Yeah,
little girl.
dude.
Dude, 4 consecutive home runs by Arizona right now. What
No
the
way.
fuck? Okay, sorry, but since it was my turn, I could
Sports
say that.
ball, sports ball, sports ball.
Well, fucking Andy started it with his Arizona, with his fucking Chitras, but whatever. But
Don't even start. Don't even start. Still crying about 7 years ago, but the Los Angeles Dodgers win a 50-game season. High school seasons are longer than that.
whatever, dude. Your team, if your
Oh,
team would have
Rubber
won, you would have been fine with it.
Rubber Soul.
That's it. Rubber Soul was Run for Your Life. I love
yeah,
that song. I know it sucks, but
no, it doesn't.
Yep.
Oh,
no, but
dude.
John
It doesn't
Lennon
suck. It's
John
like-
Lennon hated that song later, so
Because he realized it was fucking crazy.
It was
But
dark.
for them to like turn dark like that from all their cutesy shit, Jesus.
I
One
know.
of
Very,
George
very
Harrison's
metal,
favorite
very
Lennon
metal
songs.
lyrics.
Yeah.
The song
Yeah.
isn't,
Yeah.
but like you said, the lyrics are like, I mean, that's right up there with Johnny Cash's "I Shot a Man in Reno just to
Yeah.
watch him die." I'm
Well,
like,
and,
holy
like,
shit,
Hey
you know?
He
Joe,
also got it
like-
from Elvis.
Yeah,
too.
right.
He got it from Elvis too. There's
Right.
I forget which song.
Yeah, there's
Something
some
about-
darker
yeah.
stuff that people don't think about.
No,
Right.
this song rules, and it's George's favorite, I believe, of Lennon's work. So
I remember when I first heard it, I was like, "What the hell is this? This is crazy!" And of course, it became one of my favorites on the album too. You know, after a while.
stalk him and then beat him, huh, Mark?
yes.
All right, all right,
Teasing. I love the song. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I know you do.
all right, Mike. What are you gonna go with?
All right, man. Fuck, this album was hard because "Run for Your Life," "In My Life,"
Mhm.
you know, "The Word," "Nowhere Man," "Norwegian Wood," "This Bird Is Flown." Are you fucking kidding me? And I
Mhm.
almost picked that one because I love it, especially how George Harrison added the sitar to it. It just sets the song apart. Once again, probably the first rock band
Mhm.
to ever use the sitar, and then
Again.
everybody did it after that. But I love "Girl." I love the way John sings the
Mhm.
song, the way he does that in the middle of it when he does the "girl, girl," and it sounds like he's almost like, I don't know, it's really weird, but I fucking love that song. I always have, man, and that's my pick for Rubber Soul, man. But like, you couldn't go wrong with any, really, even the McCartney song. This fucking album rules. You know, it's
Yeah.
the Beatles. Come on,
Yeah.
you know.
It does. And on the song "Girl," is that I know sometimes that they got different people playing different, different band members are playing different instruments. But is that Ringo on drums? Because man, that's a great job on the drums.
Well, let's see. I believe
far as I
it
know,
says
yeah.
personnel, drums, tambourines, maracas, cowbells,
Okay.
bells, cymbals, Hammond organ. And I'm looking through you, and lead vocals on What Goes On. So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
George.
Yeah.
Or I mean, that's Ringo. And Ringo sometimes I don't think gets the love he should get.
Oh yeah.
That guy.
So
Because here's the
talented.
thing I love about Ringo, man. He's got a distinctive sound. Like I remember, I think it was the Tom Petty's Wallflowers album. It was one of them where my brother, or maybe it was She's the One. I think it was She's the One. It's the song. I think
It wasn't Full Moon Fever.
I can't remember which album it was, but
I
my
think it
brother,
was his first solo
my
album.
brother says
Ringo was
he
on
puts
there.
he puts it on there and he goes, "All right, man, I want you to guess who this drummer is." And I mean, the minute I heard the snare, I'm like, "That's fucking Ringo Starr." He just has this distinctive
Yeah, it's crazy.
drumming style and sound that the minute you hear it, you know who it is, man.
I think that was on Full Moon Fever. He was in a
It
video with them too on that
yeah,
album.
yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
But I was just like, so anybody wants to hate on Ringo Starr, get the fuck out of here.
Ringo
man.
Starr invented a new style of drumming, and nobody ever gives him credit for that. Nobody.
Amazing. Charles, what are you gonna go with on this such important album?
Rubber Soul is my favorite Beatles album. Not one song on it I don't like. That's why it beats the next one just by a hair, which is another fantastic album. There is a song or so on that one I don't like, but Rubber Soul, I love every song. It's a no-brainer for me. The second greatest Beatles song ever in my life. No-brainer.
Mhm.
It is a great song.
Yeah.
I didn't pick it because I figured one of you all would.
Yeah,
You
Mark's
know, and
guy.
I'm.
There we go.
But
That
I
I
do
haven't
love
said
that
that
song,
once
man.
this episode. So
I had to. I mean, it's just
Oh, I
this
no,
song.
dude, I don't blame you. Like Norwegian Wood, I came this close to picking that because I just
Mhm.
think that's an amazing song.
Too
And
many
I mean,
times I've been committed on tape of praising in my life. So there's no way I couldn't pick it. It's
I understand it is a beautiful song lyrically, just everything about it, man.
a song that grows with you as your life
Mhm.
changes.
Yes.
It takes on
Yes.
new meanings, and
Yes,
that's what's so brilliant about it. So
it
yeah.
is. It's great.
Yeah, my mom and I danced to that song for at my wedding. That was the song
Awesome.
I picked. I was gonna go with "Mama" by Genesis, but it was too long. All right, Kate, what's your next pick?
Um, this one, I mean, Rubber Soul is really like where they start turning into psych folk rock, and I'm a huge psych nerd, obviously, so I really love this album. Um, this, like you guys said, is the introduction to like sitar, the Hammond organ, like the fuzz bass, where you're thinking of like old country music, where like Marty Robbins would do fuzz bass.
I love Marty Robbins.
I'm obsessed, like insane about old country music, and Marty Robbins is way at the top for me. So, I went with In My Life. I mean, it's just like Charles and I were talking about this the other day of like how he said it grows with you, it changes with you.
Oh
Things
yeah.
things
No matter
happen
where
to
you
you.
are in life, you can
Yeah.
relate to the song because
Yeah.
you're like, it's like, yeah. And think about it. He wrote this song as a fairly young man.
Yeah,
You know,
young, like really young.
but if you look at John's life and you look at everything, I mean, by the time he'd lost his mother, he had
Mhm.
lost his best friend, Stu
Mhm.
Sutcliffe.
Mhm.
You know, he had already, I mean, that's who he's talking about when he says some are dead and some are living.
Yeah.
He's got to be talking about his mom and Stu,
Yeah.
So I think that yeah, definitely. It's a beautiful song. I can't be like, no, my song is better.
No. And they
But
have different meaning to everyone. Like
Yeah,
this
sure.
this one just I had recently unfortunately had a couple deaths in my life. Not to be making a pun, but I really have, and that like going back on this song again to think about this is just it hits you
Yeah.
so different when you have something like that happen to you and go through like I had my grandfather passed away, which it's really Nick's grandfather, but we've been together a million years, so he's been my only grandpa character in my life that I can remember because everybody else was gone. And then a good dear friend of mine who is like another huge Beatles nut passed away 2 days after my grandfather, and to have that shit happen like boom boom like that,
Yeah.
it's not good for your psyche, but listening to songs like this like puts it in another perspective of appreciating all the people that you do have kind of thing.
Yes.
And thinking about all those times in your life you had with them is really good, and like that introspective part of dealing with loss I think it is good. So this one, Lennon said this was like his first major real piece of work that he'd ever composed, which I think is pretty incredible. And like we said, he's so young. I'm think of being in your young 20s, like your early 20s, and writing something like this. Like I was a friggin' moron.
Okay.
I can never imagine writing something like this in my early 20s.
If
It's
he
just
had never
wild.
wrote anything after that, he would still, I think,
Oh,
be
yeah.
remembered today. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's
Wow.
that great a song. It's
Yeah.
really, it is. It's just a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful song, man.
Yeah, it's
Dude,
wild.
I was a moron until 30. So there you go.
I still feel like a moron.
Like I'm
now.
still a dumbass. Half time I walk around going, "Dah," you know.
But thankfully he kept on writing.
Yes.
My favorite song on here, once again, it's going to be my favorite song on the album when I first heard it, and I went over and over on this album and played the song over and over. And I'm going to go with "Nowhere Man." I love that track.
Oh, definitely one of my favorites, and
Yeah.
especially when they do it, when they actually do like Yellow Submarine film.
Oh, that's so cool.
I want to do that for a Halloween like
I almost
costume
picked
one
that
day.
song too
I'm
because
obsessed.
of that movie.
Yeah.
Because of that movie.
Yeah.
And at
Jeremy.
the end where the
Jeremy.
Beatles.
I'm
yeah.
obsessed with that. So that like
Poor
I've always
Jeremy.
wanted to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Don't you feel sorry for him in the cartoon?
Yeah. He
Go
is a
hug the little
PhD,
guy,
but
the
he's
little
okay.
weird.
But yeah, I love
Buzzball.
Nowhere Man. Such an excellent. I love that song
Yeah.
so much.
It is. It's a good song.
Kinda
What else?
reminds
Did
you
you
of
have
people
anything
who-
else you were gonna say, Andy?
But I'm saying that song Nowhere Man kind of reminds you of people today, man. They don't know where they're going to.
Yeah, you're just kind of
it's-
lost.
They're just lost. They're just
I
sitting there
think-
floating in
Yeah,
life.
you get lost in the shuffle
Yeah,
of like different stuff going on, and life's so busy, like you're just
Yeah.
going through the motions all the time.
Yep.
But
Mark, what's going to be your pick for their next album, Revolver? Man, these albums just keep getting better and better, one after another.
I love this song. I think it's fucking cool. I'm only sleeping. That song fucking rules. It's like one of the most coolest songs ever by the Beatles. It's like that song comes on, I'll play it like 3 or 4 times.
Have you seen the video when they did the recent box? You just said you wanted to get the box or the super deluxe or whatever. Have you seen the video? It's all animated and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a Beatles painting come to life. It's so fucking cool. I'm just like, and I don't understand why these record companies don't do more stuff especially for these older legacy bands.
Rush does that.
Yeah, I know Rush does, and they do a great job with it, but I wish more would. Like, how cool would it be to see like Zeppelin or Sabbath, some of their old do animated videos for some of those great, amazing songs, man. I mean, come on.
That would be
I
Jimmy Page like saying, "Hey, do this," because he controls everything as Zeppelin.
Well, then he needs to get on it, and so
He needs to do something.
Damn Yankees.
The Sabbath too, man. Like, how cool would it be to see War Pigs animated, man?
That rules.
Especially the part with Satan's
That would be
laughing,
cool.
spreads his wings.
yeah,
Come
that'd be
on,
cool.
man.
Have you ever watched any of those like AI like people feed
Yeah.
the lyrics into AI? Like some of them are trash, but some of them are really
pretty
cool.
trippy looking,
Especially
man.
like Zeppelin and stuff where it's very what's the word I want for the lyrics? Are
Realistic.
So yeah, I don't know. They just are so good at painting a picture, so it comes out really cool.
They had this AI do War Pigs, man, and it was like, whoa.
It'd be cool if they did more stuff like heavy metal, just something crazy. Because that's why I love Yellow Submarine so much, to take something like that and turn it into a whole film, especially animated film.
Yes.
Ah, man. Yeah, War Pigs would be nuts.
Yeah, I used to wait every year for that to be shown on TV.
Yeah.
I don't know how true it is. I don't know how true it is, but I saw an advertisement somewhere where allegedly Pixar was going to make a Beatles film.
Oh, I saw that too. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
You baseball nerds, have you ever seen the thing they were trying to make? Disney was trying to make something with Salvador Dali, and Salvador Dali believed that baseball was a metaphor for life. So he was obsessed with American baseball, which is hilarious.
Baseball rules.
I'll send you guys this thing. It's called Destino. And they were going to make an entire full-length film with Salvador Dali. So you can imagine how crazy this thing looks. But there's only like 10 minutes of it that they got through.
It's
and then
badass.
Dali
I've
died.
seen it. It's really trippy.
I'll
man.
send it to you guys. It's cool.
Yeah.
He's obsessed with baseball. So it's funny that it has a lot to do with baseball.
And I really do need to go watch this AI stuff that people keep talking about, because I really haven't.
Just put it in YouTube if you put like any song, whatever song you're thinking of, an AI music video, and it'll pop something up. Which, like I said, quite a few of them are garbage.
Yeah,
but some of them, some Zeppelin ones and stuff are really cool.
The Zeppelin ones are cool. The Sabbath ones are cool.
Yeah.
So it can be done on YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I will check that out. Thank you so much.
Charles, what company did you say you thought was doing Beatles? Was it
Pixar.
Pixar?
Pixar.
Okay, yeah, and Pixar is
so
owned by Disney, so that'd be cool.
Yeah, so it's gonna suck. Hey, I work there, so that's gonna suck. But
all right, Mike, what's going to be your pick for a revival?
I gotta echo Mark, man. I'm only sleeping, and I mean, again, it's one of those albums where, I mean, come on, man. you know, I mean, come on. And Your Bird Can Sing, great song.
Yeah, I loved it.
And then, of course, Tomorrow Never Knows. It's like, how do I not pick that song? Because it was just so transcendent. And I got to see the Lennon and Claypool Delirium, or the Claypool Lennon Delirium with Les.
That's good shit.
So good.
And when they did, they ended it with the show. Sean did one of his songs. Les did Southbound Pachyderm from Primus, and they ended the concert with Tomorrow Never Knows, and it fucking ruled.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, it was awesome. It was amazing. But I'm only sleeping, man. I mean, because one, I've been that guy where I'm like, I don't want to get up. You know what I mean? I just want to lay here in bed, just chill. And just the musicianship, the way they, again, experiment like with the guitar solo, and they're playing it backwards and stuff, doing shit that nobody else. I mean, that's what makes the Beatles the Beatles. They were the first to do all of that. And then, of course, and Paul, God, his bass playing is fucking godly on this song. I think it's so amazing, man. Boom, 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 boom. It's just a fantastic track. Love it. And I love the fact that they did an animated video for it. Because, you know, my dad, he's a Beatles fan, but he's more of like all the Beatle albums always he had was like the compilation. Now, he was a hits guy, you know, basically. Yeah. I think he had maybe Sgt. Pepper, you know, but when he saw that video, he's like, man, it's a really cool song. And I'm going, where the hell have you been, Dad? I mean, I've known about how great this song was, you know, but yeah. I took a deep dive into the Beatles, you know, where I guess my pop never really did. He loves them. Don't get me wrong. He loves the Beatles, but yeah, man, I just think it's a fantastic, fantastic song.
Yeah, so. It really is. It's a killer track. It's one of my favorites. Charles, what are you gonna go with off of Revolver?
Mike mentioned it. I'm gonna go with Tomorrow Never Knows. I think it was. Yeah, it's a way to end the album, and once again, another peek into the future of where this band was going to go. And I'm torn which version I like the best. There's so many different versions out there.
Phil Collins?
No, never, sir. Please don't.
I love that version, though. Sorry.
No, I meant the Beatles, not
Beatles versions.
Not
okay.
Whatever he is. Yeah, no. The Antichrist.
I love Phil Collins.
I love the version on Beatles Love that's got the Within You Without You music.
Oh yeah, that's
so good.
Tomorrow Never Knows.
Dude, that soundtrack is amazing. My God,
absolutely,
you never know what's coming next. I love it.
But it's just such a great song, and you got to give big credit to Jeff Emmerich, that engineer that was brought in by this point, young guy breaking all the rules at EMI. Risked his job a million times. They had such specific rules about where mics had to be and this and that, and he just bucked all these trends. And George Martin let him go for it.
Yeah.
And John wanted to sound like a Tibetan monk chanting from the Himalayas, so they put his voice through a Leslie speaker, and that's how they got this sound. And just a phenomenal song. Not that there's anything wrong with I'm Only Sleeping. That's a good one. This album does have Dr. Robert, though. That's a John Lennon song I'm iffy on.
Yeah, it's okay.
Little.
If you notice, I didn't mention it when I was talking about the Great John songs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all right, but it's filler. But I mean, it's Lennon filler, you know. So it's like I can't really rip on it, but yeah, it's. I think John might have just been like, yeah, okay, you know.
Yeah, it was made to order, I think, and that. But yeah, that's why I like Rubber Soul slightly better than Revolver. That song, and I want to tell you, I'm not fond of, and but I'm very fond of Tomorrow Never Knows, and all the different iterations that are out there.
It's an amazing track. I mean, like I said, it was like it was hard, dude. You know what I mean? It was really hard.
Yes. But
I couldn't imagine if you were like, pick your favorite track from the album. I'd been like, oh fuck, because
those are so much harder. We did that before. And
man,
it's hard.
I bet.
Yeah, we did one that was pick your like least favorite, and that was still pretty hard.
Yeah.
There's like one Beatles song I'll skip, and the rest of it was hard.
There's a lot of Beatles songs I'll skip.
What was that, if you don't mind me asking?
Mine?
Yeah.
Mine is Revolution number 9, man. It's fucking trash. But that's
I
Yoko influence.
totally
so
fucking
shit.
concur. The single version that's on Past Masters, shit's all over
Oh
it.
my god. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. I
Yeah.
got
With and without you, I'll skip like no
I
other.
love that. Oh my
Yeah.
No,
god.
why?
When they start getting into the weird shit after being in India.
No.
Woo!
Maybe because I never
Yes.
took acid. I bet all you guys took acid.
You better get with it, dog. That's
Hey man, you
Well,
leave my
Charles,
boy
were
George
you-
Harrison alone, Mark.
I just smoke weed, man. Stay off acid.
you
man.
aren't smoking enough weed to appreciate that song then, apparently.
Oh, I
I'm
smoke so
with
much
Katie,
weed.
man.
I
What are you
tried to
talking
like
about?
that song.
Hey, at least you tried, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like George Harrison. It's just like grateful hippie shit. I don't like hippie music. All right, sorry.
All right, Kate. What's your next
Okay.
one off the revolver?
Charles, were you done?
Yeah.
All right, mine's the same anyway. I did Tomorrow Never Knows because this is getting into that hippie shit, and I love it. I'll eat it up with a spoon. This is when they're starting to get really
This is
weird.
stuff that Bushy, my
This-
co-host, fellow DJ at that metal station, and
Yeah, Bushy would hate
co-host.
this.
Oh, this fucking tribe. You know what, Bushy? White Lions fucking tribe. Shot fired, motherfucker.
Hey. White
Vito
Lion
Bravo.
rules.
Better than fucking
I love-
Eddie Van Halen.
No,
Get the
no,
fuck
no.
out of here, man.
Vito Bravo is not good than Eddie Van Halen. I've told that bitch that a lot of times. No, Eddie Van Halen is way better than Vito. Sorry, Bushy, you're
Considering
an
all
idiot on
Vito
that one.
is a wannabe clone of Eddie Van Halen. Oh yeah.
No. Vito
Yeah,
did a lot
yeah.
of different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, fucking Eddie
Van
did a lot of
Halen, look, White
Clapton.
Lion didn't even fucking. They
Why?
can't even hold Eddie Van Halen's jockstrap. I'm sorry,
Well,
but
I
they can't.
agree with you, but White
Okay,
Lion is
it's-
fucking good.
No, it's not.
No, what? Hey,
Not.
you changed your mind on Europe. There you go.
Yeah, because I actually found out that they actually had some good songs. White Lion, man, no, dude.
And nobody in all three bands could write Tomorrow Never Knows.
Thank you.
I agree.
All three bands combined.
I agree.
Rush.
Rush could. Just saying.
Nah,
I
not
think I'm
really.
gonna
Neil
go with-
Peart's lyrics.
Nah,
are just
not
up there
really.
with
Hang
the
on.
Beatles with me.
So like this is getting into their weird, like obviously they're starting to experiment with LSD. And if you guys
Yeah.
know Timothy Leary, you guys, anybody who doesn't know this stuff, this is based on like the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and Timothy Leary and a few other authors wrote their like psychedelic experience. I don't know. It's interesting. That's a headspace that you could explore if you do so choose to. But this just the way the sound of this is incredible, and it's so different. And how Charles was saying how they were getting his voice fed through like a different speaker that was meant for, it's a Leslie speaker cabinet that's used for the Hammond organ. And then allegedly the like seagull sound is McCartney laughing sped up, because I was always wondering what that was and I never bothered to look it up, but I looked it up for this. And that's what that like beginning intro is, like the seagull sound. But I mean, this relax your mind and float downstream. This is not dying, in that even if you just meditate, you don't even have to take drugs. This is when they're doing all their transcendental meditation stuff too. And
It's a great song. I love it.
it's interesting. And to get into some crazy, I'm not a conspiracy theory person, but if you ever want to go down a rabbit hole of interesting, weird shit, the government dropped like declassified stuff about transcendental meditation, and to read it is wild because they're saying they prove that it works. And I don't know, it might all be bogus, whatever, but it's just a fun read regardless. And it goes into this whole like psychedelic experience thing. And I don't know, I think it's worth checking it out just to listen to that or read that declassified document, because it's funny to think that the government was studying this stuff for
Did
any
you
of
ever
those,
see the
like,
Did you ever see the movie Rude Awakening with Cheech and Eric Roberts?
mm-mm.
That's actually
They-
an underrated movie.
Yeah, the government gives Cheech all this free acid to see if he can read minds.
Have you ever watched? Look on YouTube and watch those videos of them. They like dose a little like housewife and they taped her, and it's so wild to watch this shit. And when they were doing all those experiments,
you
what
guys
the hell
should
is
watch
that
Rude
big
Awakening.
experiment
It's
called?
kind of true.
Well,
can't
here's
think of the
something that's
name of it.
interesting. Oh, go ahead, Katie. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Sorry,
you're fine.
Kate.
No, you're fine. I can't think of the name of it. What were those experiments like MK Ultra and stuff?
Yeah.
Have you guys read anything about any
Yeah,
of that?
I've read.
Charles was like part of MK Ultra.
Yeah.
That's why I brought up Rude Awakening.
All
The
right.
government was
That's what they're based on.
testing
Okay.
acid on Cheech for free. You know, they're
That's
getting free
funny.
acid.
I'll have to check it out. Rude Awakening.
Whitey
it's
Bulger took part in that.
I'll write it
Alcatraz,
down. It sounds
they
interesting.
The girl from Airplane's in there too.
Okay.
Julie Haggerty.
Yeah, it's a good movie, man.
Yeah.
What you call it? They kind of talk about the MK Ultra stuff in Stranger Things, like how the people get their powers, that they're like dosing their mothers.
I love that show.
Rude Awakening. I put it. I'll look it up.
Yeah,
but I just thought it was interesting. Like, I'll send you guys that file of the like transcendental meditation thing that they dropped. Is pretty crazy. Even if it's fake, it's just an interesting read.
Right.
Well, what I'm going to tell you is that in Rude Awakening, there's 4 friends that are all hippies, right?
Uh-huh.
And then in the future, 2 of them stay hippies and 2 of them become yuppies. So they're like clashing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am going to go with a song that wasn't picked by y'all. I'm going to go with And Your Bird Can Sing. I love that song.
That's a great song, man.
Good song.
So bright. It feels so good to hear it.
The final season of the cartoon, it was the theme song.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
I've always
I love that Beatles cartoon. Love it.
I've always heard that he wrote this as a song to Mick Jagger, or it's about Jagger.
Yeah.
Has anyone else heard about that too?
Yes, I have. Bragging about Marianne Faithfull.
Yeah.
When they were tired of hearing it. So yeah, they were all buddies. So unlike I'm going to do my own reference. Unlike Oasis and Blur, which was a real rivalry, the Rolling Stones,
Beatles, they were all really good friends.
Were friends, and they coordinated and didn't release things at the same time.
The Stones even said, because when they first started, they were just basically doing blues covers, and it was actually John Paul's like, you guys can write, you should write your own songs, man. And so that's what got Keith Richards and Mick Jagger to become
a writing
songwriter. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
And I love the Stones. Like, I don't understand some of these people that feel like you have to love one and hate the other. I'm like,
I love the Stones. I just think the Beatles are better.
Well, that's all well and good. My older brother's like that too. But to me, it's like, I like what Ian Wadley of the Rock and Metal Combat podcast always says. The Rolling Stones are the greatest rock and roll band of all time, and the Beatles are the greatest band of all time. And I'm like, that sums it up, because the Beatles, to me, what makes them so cool is you can't pigeonhole them. Are they rock? Are they folk? Are they psychedelic? Are they, they're all those things. I mean, the Beatles did show tunes, for fuck's sake. Sometimes, I mean, they did so many different kinds of music.
Yeah.
Queen was like that. Queen was like that. You couldn't pigeonhole Queen. Were they arena rock? Were they hard rock? Were they metal? Were they pop? They were all those things, man. All those things. And it's the same with the Beatles.
Yeah.
Right on.
It is. All right, we're moving on. Sgt. Pepper's. Mark.
I don't know if this is cheating or not, but John does sing the majority of this song, right? A Day in a Life. This is the greatest Beatles song, probably the greatest song.
Well, he wrote it. So
it's a John song.
Yeah, it's a John song. I'm just saying, this has to be the greatest fucking tune in all recorded rock history. And people, don't try to cover this song. You embarrass yourself. Nobody could top this original. I will not accept any cover of this song. Also, this song fucking rules.
I'll send you a YouTube video with Neil Young doing it. He does a very good job of it.
Maybe, but yeah,
I'll send it to you and see what you think.
Maybe it's like 3. I don't know.
Mike, what are you gonna go with?
Gotta echo Mark, man. I'm a sucker for at what I call epic closing tracks.
Oh yeah.
Like one of my favorite Zeppelin songs is When the Levee Breaks, because it's the closing track.
Yes.
Into the Void by Black Sabbath, or The Writ by Black Sabbath from Sabotage. Epic closing track. A Day in the Life is totally epic, and it's fucking awesome. And I love the little Paul McCartney thing where he was just working on this ditty, didn't know what to do with it, and they throw it right in the middle of this song, and it just fits seamlessly. This
It's
song
like
rules.
he goes, woke up, got out of bed, tried to come across my head.
Right, and it's all right. Especially he was like, note to self, I was late.
It's like that orchestra part, dude, where he goes, woo. It's like me and my friends as kids, we used to ride our bikes. I had one of those little Tandy cassette players with the single speaker. We'd ride it on my bike and we'd play that. We go Time Warp,
I mean, it just
fucking great song,
to me, man. John, I mean, vocally, it's just so like, and the lyrics even, it's so dark, and so it's just an amazing song. I love it. It's a fucking masterpiece.
That's why I said it's the greatest song ever. Nothing will ever top that song. That's just my opinion. But
So what do you think, Charles?
Well, first off, I think AC/DC is the greatest rock and roll band of all time, but that's the way I see that. But I love the Stones.
Hey, I love AC/DC too. Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah, I think. But that's all subjective. But what is not subjective and should be beyond opinion is the greatest song recorded in Western civilization in history of all mankind, and that is A Day in the Life. Easy. It was the easiest one to pick. My favorite Beatles song, and as I am in the camp of yes, it's the greatest song ever committed to tape. Period. I thought it was a little cheaty too because McCartney did come up with that middle section, but I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. I break rules all the time anyway. But A Day in the Life, hands down, their greatest song.
Yeah. Kate, what do you do with Sgt. Pepper's?
Have to go with A Day in the Life.
Be right back.
You're going to go for a benefit of Mr. Kite.
So this is my favorite Beatles album anyway, but if you imagine this is pretty wild, they take a 3-month break and then they come back and drop this, and it's technically a concept album, and thinking about this at the end, you're coming out of Pepperland and coming back to reality, and this is what you're dealing with, and that's the way I picture this song and how to end an album. I mean, like you guys said, hell of a way to end an album, and probably one of the best songs ever written, if not the best song ever written. The main front part and the end of this are written by Lennon for sure. Middle, I think it's probably a combo Lennon-McCartney, but hearing Lennon singing in the beginning of this, and then each one, I love each piece of their own personality coming out on this too. You hear it in their voice when they're singing is interesting, but this is just an interesting time for them. McCartney finally takes LSD and they've been pushing him. George and John have been pushing him and he finally did it. And then they decide no more tours. McCartney and Lennon are working on films, and George Harrison leaves and goes to India right before this.
Well, and it's game changing. I mean, this album is the reason why album-oriented rock became a thing.
Yep.
Without Sgt. Pepper, you don't get Tommy. No. You don't get any of it.
No, you don't get any other concept albums of going into that different headspace. Like, this is such an interesting way to set up an album, and that idea of it being like this song brings you back to reality. So you were out in the stratosphere, if you were doing drugs or something. You're out in Pepperland. You're out in Pepperland, and then you come back.
But I mean, come on, man. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. There's some great John songs on here. But yeah, Day in the Life. It's not a contest,
many good songs on this.
Lucy fucking rules. I like the benefit of Mr. Kite.
Oh, being for the benefit of Mr. Kite
rules. That's all rules.
And Good Morning, Good Morning. I love Good Morning, Good Morning.
Good Morning is like the perfect song to wake up people.
Yep. This one's just such an interesting album, and that's like McCartney calls this their freak out, like Mother's an Invention, that this is their version of freak out. And then like Revolver influences Pet Sounds, but Pet Sounds influences Sgt. Pepper is
Yeah.
how
And
they
then
describe it.
old boy from the Beach Boys was like, I'm done. He like
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
freaked out, you know.
I mean,
which
what a wild
I was just
thing
kind
to
of like,
think about.
dude, man, like I don't know. I like the Beach Boys, but I'm not as into them as a lot of other people.
I go through phases. I like their like psychedelic era Beach
I do
Boys.
too, because
that's a lot of stuff that I like prefer anyway.
I got to be honest with you, man. Most of their and it's not that I don't like surf rock because I like Dickie Dale. I even like
I'm more heavy
Dan and
surf
Dean.
rock, like
yeah, you know, like Dickie Dale,
even
you know,
like Agent Orange or something like
The,
that. Where it's
the
like heavier.
Ventures, man.
Yeah,
but the Beach Boys to me, man, like I don't know, I couldn't really relate to it. But I will say, Pet Sounds has got some great fucking.
I like
Janet
Dean. Also, Janet Dean's pretty good.
Yeah. Anyway,
I like this is their time where they're famous enough they can do whatever they want, and like Harrison says that we can do things that please us without conforming to the standard pop ideal.
Yeah.
And like, holy crap, like they at least it dawned on them, like we're famous enough and rich enough, we don't have to play these games anymore and do what the studios want us to do. Yeah. So I mean, just having that like carte blanche on making this album is woo. I love
well, I mean, the fact
so
that they were
much.
like, hey, we're not going to tour anymore. That was a bold decision. I mean, most bands.
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't hear themselves sing, so they said, what's the use?
Yeah,
and,
what's the point?
Well, yeah,
and it's like people pissing their pants, literally. Like their shows just, it smells like piss and girls just screaming bloody murder.
Well,
and there's no point in doing that.
Yeah,
like,
because people have to remember this is before the Marshall stack, guys. This was
also before the earphones and shit. You know?
Right, but the Marshall stack. I mean that, you know, because and part of that was because Pete Townsend says, I want to be louder. I want people to be able to hear my music whether they're fucking screaming at the top of their lungs or not. And that's, you know, again,
why he's deaf.
You know, yeah, maybe so, but you know what? All us fucking rock and metalheads and punk rockers owe him a fucking debt of gratitude.
Well, I know. You know.
What?
What? Fuck it.
I appreciate that I can't hear.
So I'll be deaf when I'm
amazing. It's amazing because George said it towards the end of their touring, they were given 100-watt amps. That was a big deal.
Oh my God, 100 watts is nothing. It's so crazy. Right. I think my fucking tuner has like a bigger wattage than that.
My car stereo is like 500 watts with a 12-inch woofer.
Yeah. Oh my God. Shit. But this one too, like getting into like obviously there's the sitar and stuff on there, but he has like the harmonium, you have the harpsichord, you have like what's the other one? It's a tempura or something. The other
tambora.
The tambora and all this other stuff that you get into with all these other instruments that he's bringing back from India. I think that's super interesting. But
he made a great song and Within You Without You, right, Mark? One day you'll
Mark's favorite song.
I'll be right back, guys.
I can't hear you. I'm deaf from those Marshall amps.
Yeah, those Marshall amps got him.
I'm deaf without you.
But I'd love to turn you on. Got this band from Radio Play by the BBC because it was a drug reference to like the Leary stuff I was talking about. Turn on. But the BBC didn't unban this until March 13th, 1972.
Wow.
So to have it banned that long is so funny to me to think about how this was. But and the time this comes out, it drops in May, and it's right before the Summer of Love. It's just such an insane thing in my mind to think about this album and how influential to music, not just rap music or psychedelic music. It's like all music.
And
it's
fashion, and the way of thinking, the way of living, it just changed everything.
And the way to know that how you could produce an album, like taking all the different stuff that they're doing in all these albums and the sound engineers and stuff. I mean, what an amazing combination of so many different moving parts to create something like this.
Yeah,
it's so wild.
I love Pet Sounds. Pet Sounds is my favorite Beach Boys album.
Yeah, Pet Sounds is great.
And they compare these two albums, but I don't think it's close.
No, I think
Sgt. Pepper.
I think there's that influence back and
Yeah.
forth, like how I said, where they even
which is
said
great,
that that's
but
how
I
that
just-
went.
Yeah, but I just think Sgt. Pepper's just kicks
Yeah.
Pet Sounds ass.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
like-
sure. It's much. I'm way more into that. And
It's
then
brighter.
I love thinking about like Sgt. Pepper and Hendrix coming along, and Hendrix taking all of his fashion, like all the clothes and the way he wanted to present himself, and he's saying like, this is what I am keeping alive by dressing and by doing the way I'm doing things, is to keep the vibe of Sgt. Pepper alive.
Yeah.
I was like, that is fucking amazing to
And
me.
what a cultural album when it came out, you know.
Yeah.
I just think they're
And
on the and just
they have-
you know?
Yeah, to have the cover be so wild, and then to have
Yeah.
the gatefold the way it is. I mean, what a
Well, you have
It's
Hitler's
so
hand. They took Hitler out, but they put his hand up.
his hands in there.
Yeah, you don't know that?
There's
Look
a
at
bunch
the
of
hand- the
conspiracy
hand is
stuff
Hitler.
about the
They
cover, which
actually
is
put
funny.
Hitler in there, and the record company said we can't put Hitler in there.
Yeah,
So they
hanging
just
out
kept the
there.
hand.
Huh.
They kept his hand up. You guys didn't know that about that cover?
I've never noticed. No.
I had read that somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Hitler's hand.
It's a Gandhi out too.
Yeah, I've heard it other ways.
Uh,
Just the like fist at the top, like
no, the hand, the straight hand, like the Hail Hitler. You see his
And,
hand up. You see his hand in there. Well, I got the original copy.
yeah. I'll have to pull out my OG. Maybe they take it
Yeah.
out of this one.
It's there, dude. It's there. I've seen it many times.
So I'm gonna go also with A Day in the Life. I mean,
The
there's
clean
other songs
sweep.
out there,
That's the only clean sweep, right?
but
Yeah.
that is the only clean sweep, and that's the only song it would. I believe.
I bet you that's our only clean sweep for the whole setup.
So too. I think so too. Matt, okay, guys, we're moving on to Magical Mystery Tour. Mark,
Magical Mystery Tour. Did I skip that?
Yeah,
Shit.
if we're doing UKs, that's not a UK. Do you want to pick that one?
yeah.
Magical. I'll just pick Magical Mystery Tour. I love that. No, I Am the Walrus.
There
Like
you
me
go.
and Charles were talking about that, like Nirvana. It's gobbledygook. He says, "Well, John Lennon wrote I Am the Walrus." I go, "Yeah, but John Lennon did that with thought. He did that on purpose to piss people off. Kurt Cobain just wrote it as gobbledygook, where John Lennon actually had actual
You
thought
need
to
to let.
say,
Yeah, you're just.
I am
Sir,
the
somebody's got the rings above wings in the background. You probably need to stop with the.
You
Cobain
notice that? I
slamming.
did that on purpose.
Yeah,
Because I'm not going to get you on Thursdays to show you that.
yeah. It's Cobain, and, whatever, dude.
All right.
No,
Mike.
but I'm just saying, John
Yeah.
Lennon did that with thought.
Right.
And that's why I Am the Walrus, he wrote it that way to fucking piss people off. And people fucking ate it up. Fucking great song.
Yeah. Good song. Mike, what are you gonna go with?
I'm looking over the song selection right now because I thought we was just doing UK, but
Sorry about that.
oh no, you're fine, bro. I'm not complaining. I mean, come on, man. You got All You Need Is Love. That's a fucking fantastic song. Strawberry Fields Forever is amazing. But I got to go with Mark, man. I Am the Walrus, which is funny. As a little kid, I didn't like that song at all. But as I got older and wiser, I realized how fucking brilliant it is. Love this song. It rules. And I also love how he references this song later on another album.
Yeah.
He
Even
was
though-
calculated, man. He was calculated.
Yes. Well, one of the things that always drove, especially John nuts, but a lot of them was the whole, ooh, are there secret meanings to their songs? And I remember there was, I think it was maybe it was Imagine John Lennon. It was one of the Lennon documentaries where this guy was like sleeping in his garden or something. And
Imagine.
yeah, he's like camping out and they told John, and John's like, oh, well, hell, just let him in. I'll talk to him. You
Yeah.
know? And the guy was like asking him all these questions. What does this mean? He goes, and you know, John was nice about it. He goes, look, bro, they're just fucking songs, you know, like it's just music. I number one, I couldn't tell you what I was thinking when I wrote that at the time. I was fucking high on drugs, like it's like, dude, but like I said, you could tell the dude was all bummed out at this point. And then John says, you want a sandwich? And John Lennon made him a fucking sandwich. So I'm like, dude, like, yeah, it's just like, but yeah, I mean, sometimes I think people do get a little, it's like my co-host on the Metal Mike show, Bill always says, quit being weird. You just got some people that they get really weird sometimes, man, about music or bands. And it's just like, at the end of the day, these guys are people. They're flawed humans, man. Yeah, they are amazingly talented people, and they gave a lot to the world with their art. But at the end of the day, they're only human, man. And yeah, I think there was a lot of John sometimes, I think, would, I mean, even like when the Beatles broke up, he even said it. He goes, it's just the end of a rock band, folks. It's not the end of the world, And you still have the albums to listen to and reminisce. Yeah. So
he's always thought that way, because I remember, and in fact, in that documentary, the Complete Beatles, he says, no big deal. We're just a band. We're just a band that made it big. That's it. And that's weird that he thinks of it that way, but it's true when you put it in that kind of way. But
well,
Beatles,
he was kind of a humble guy, dude. He was like signing autographs for everybody that came up to him, and that's what killed him. And it kind of sucks, man.
Yeah.
All right, Charles, what are you gonna go with here on a Magical Mystery Tour?
One of the most underrated albums, I think. The only U.S. version that became adapted worldwide, by the way, because the original in England was an EP. I hate passing by Strawberry Fields Forever, but I have to with I'm the Walrus, which I'm the Walrus not just defies lyrically with the gobbledygook lyrics that make no sense, but it also features every chord in the musical alphabet.
Oh, wow.
From A through F, which is definitely breaking the rules. You're not supposed to play A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or G. I miss G. Usually you'll have certain ones and that's it, but he put every one of them in there. Couple minors mixed in with majors, but that's very interesting that he did that as well. So it broke the rules lyrically by trying to get professors to analyze these lyrics, which meant nothing, and also by putting everything he could musically as well, which defies
into one
musical rules. So pure Lennon rebellion right there.
He was a genius, man.
Fantastic. Kate, what are you gonna go with here?
This one I am gonna do Strawberry Fields. This is getting really weird psychedelic. I love this album, and I know like just the EP in the UK, but the full album that dropped for the US. I love this. It's one of my higher rated Beatles albums that I feel like is really like left off. People don't talk about this. And I love all the instrumentals on this. Flying is like one of my favorite instrumentals of all time. Strawberry Field was originally recorded, and it was supposed to be on Sgt. Pepper, but they got pushed to drop it as a single, and then they had to comply to the rules of like you don't use single material on albums, which sometimes they end up doing later, but in the beginning in Pepper they decide like they don't care about that anymore. But it was intended for Sgt. Pepper.
They have that on the remastered version. The second remastered.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, oh man, I forgot All You Need Is Love. Like, that's an amazing song.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, and then that drops later. Like, they'll put that out later on Yellow Submarine. So if you imagine that comes out, where I said, like, they end up fixing that up where they don't care if they've dropped a single. It can be put on an album after. But yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Freaking All You Need Is Love is so good. But I'll talk about that later. But yeah. Andy, what's your pick on Magical Mystery Tour?
I'm going to agree with you, Kay. I'm going to go with Strawberry Fields Forever. I love the feel, the mystique of it, and the lyrics going against anything he wants it to be against. It's pretty cool, and you will hear these kind of lyrics again on his solo debut album with the Plastic Ono Band. You will start to hear lyrics like that. So I'm going to go with Strawberry Fields Forever. All right, guys. This is going to be a double shot. The White Album. Go ahead and give both songs at the same time. Mark.
Dear Prudence. Fucking love that song. And I'm So Tired.
Nice.
Fucking, those are fucking perfect fucking songs.
Yeah.
I love it. Love John's emotion. I'm so tired. Sounds like he's just fucking out of it. Fuck this shit. I'm fucking tired of fucking doing whatever. Fucking those two songs rule.
I'm tired of being in India. I want to go home already. Let's go.
Yeah.
Mike, what are you gonna go with here?
This is one of my all-time favorite Beatles albums. I know it has a lot of tracks, but man, there's some great stuff on here from the whole band. But with John, I mean, Glass Onion, love it. That's the one where he even says, I told you about the fool on the hill. I told you about the walrus and me, man. You know, we're as close as we can be, man. Well, here's another clue for you all. The walrus was Paul. I fucking love that, man. You know, the fact that he's kind of fucking with, he was trolling the fans, essentially, you know. I mean, and but in a wink, lighthearted way. He wasn't being a dick.
No, he was just giving little clues here and there.
But yeah, love Glass Onion. But if I have to pick, Dear Prudence is one. So there you go, Mark. You and I have been on the same wavelength on a few of these albums. But my other one is fucking Happiness is a Warm Gun. I think this song is a fucking masterpiece, man. I mean, the fact that it's kind of like 3 songs in one. Yeah. The thing that's cool about Dear Prudence, it's actually about Mia Farrow's sister. Mia Farrow's sister was vacationing where they were at
in India.
And she wouldn't come out. She wouldn't do anything, man. They did say they finally got her to get out of the house, but she'd been locked in for like 3 weeks and wouldn't come out.
Well, the thing that happened with that, if you don't know about that Maharishi was philandering with all these women against their will. And
shit.
That allegedly is why she locked herself in her room. And then they had, after everyone came back to America, there were like 25 women came out against the guy.
Wow.
So there's some wild shit. Like I don't know how true.
Wow.
But I assume anyone who's
pervy
in
little
one of those,
Indian.
I assume a lot of those dudes are like that. Like I've known some like yoga instructors and some people who take advantage of their position in something like that. So allegedly that's the Dear Prudence story.
Interesting. But yeah, I've always loved that song. And I also like that. I mean, some people might, but I thought the Across the Universe musical was pretty cool because they used a lot of material from those albums.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why. But the fact that you had a character name, and even like when they would make references, like when Prudence comes in, they're like, where'd she came on? Oh, she came in through the bathroom window, which I love that song too. But
it's cute.
That's a different Beatle. So, and then of course, like I said, Happiness is a Warm Gun. I mean, you got part 1, the dirty old man. You know, and then it goes into part 2, the junkie, and then part 3, the gunman, which is a satire of 50s rock and roll. I just love this song. It's one of my all-time favorite Beatles songs, man. I cannot express how much I fucking love that song. So there you go.
So good.
Charles, what's going to be your two tracks from the White Album?
I picked one each disc. So I had to limit myself on side 1. So I had to. I'm going with Mike's pick. Happiness is a Warm Gun on disc 1. It's like the history of rock and roll in a song musically.
Yes.
If you listen to that, and also the lyrics are just tremendous and dark and
crazy. Yeah.
Awesome.
And you two did a horrible cover of that. Just like
as they would.
What a shocker.
And,
hey, you know how much I love you too. I just put them down. There you go.
That's for you. I do love like there's certain things about everybody's got something to hide except me and my monkey. I think that's got some thrash metal riffage going on there, some early work, but there's something about Sexy Sadie. I don't know why I'm so into that song, Sexy Sadie, even though John lost his nerve. It was about Maharishi,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and it was about these things that Kate was talking about. That little perv that they went and listened to
Oh,
transcendental meditation about. But he lost his nerve because he was nervous that maybe Maharishi was cosmic. John
Yeah.
was a little bit on the drugs in these days, I think. But
He really like believed this guy was like the second coming
it
for
still
real.
Paranoid about it.
works with
Yeah.
Sexy Sadie.
Yeah.
But I think Cry Baby Cry is another dark horse on side too.
Ah, man. Yeah.
but you know, I mean, and some of you other picks like "I'm So Tired." That's a really cool song. I like
Such a
that
great
one a
song.
lot, and I like
Your blues.
I like the continuing, even though it's got Yoko Ono. I do kind of like the continuing story of Bungalow Bill. I think
Oh, I
it's
love
really-
I like the way that sounds. Definitely, I like how it sounds
Right.
like an old like folk tale song.
right,
Cool.
right. You know, it's funny,
Yeah.
man. It's funny. You know,
Yeah.
It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
like
is cool. There's a lot of cool
The
stuff on
amazing
this.
for that. Mhm.
Were you all set, Charles?
That's it. Yeah.
We
Hey.
did our episode where we like took off what we didn't want and kind of made like a whatever album when we talked about the White Album.
Yeah, I know that.
And
was
that one was a fun episode, and thinking
Yeah.
like revisiting this and deciding like mine when I redid this, I made it into 2 separate 12-song LPs, and that's like the folk weird indie and versus like a blues rock kind of albums. Going on the first one, I gotta pick Happiness is a Warm Gun.
Ooh.
I love that song. I love the style, the way that sounds, and how Mike was talking about the 3 parts of like the dirty old man, the junkie, and the gunman. I mean, that's such a excellent way to break up a song. I love, obviously I've talked about it a few times in this, that I love when they do their songs that have that different vibe to each part of the song. It's a double entendre too. But post India Beatles, I mean, this is their first album they drop after Epstein dies, so you can imagine they're like a captainless ship at this time. So that's where this, like, I definitely feel when we did that show that this could be 2 totally separate albums. It's kind of all over the place and bizarre how they did the track listing and stuff. I don't know. This song's banned by the BBC as well for many reasons. If you can imagine listening to it. Second album, I went with Your Blues. I love that. I love his voice in that. This one's another one written and composed in Rishikesh. But Lennon was really trying to catch that vibe of being blues singer. He said this one was influenced by Sleepy John Estes. So if you guys want to check out an old blues player that he used to listen to when he was a kid, but Your Blues, the way he does this one, it's just such a great tune. And I love when they do, like, that's any of the covers that they did when they were doing old blues songs. I mean, this is just such a good throwback to that vibe of stuff they were trying to do in their early years, especially.
The recording rules because it was actually recorded as a band, and you get a lot of bleed over on the mic and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I do have a quick question. Did I mess
Okay.
up by picking 2 songs off the same disc? Because I didn't.
No.
think-
No, it
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
matter.
No.
It was
Oh, okay. I
whatever.
was just
2.
wondering.
That's
It was
the
just
way I
picked
did
2.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I just did. I picked. It just was a coincidence that that's how I picked it. Was 2
Okay,
separate
cool.
ones.
I was
but-
just sitting there going, "Dad,
Nope.
a boo boo."
Oh, well,
Nope.
Mark picked
Whatever
2
2 you wanted off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Mark's both are off the first disc, aren't
Yeah.
they? Happiness.
They
And,
are.
man, I'm so tired. What a vibe. I feel that way all the time. I have another cigarette.
Yeah.
There's so many good songs off of that. I don't know. It's just that was a tougher one for me to pick just 2 songs, but I had to go with those 2. Andy, what are your 2?
Yeah, mine too. I'm going to go off the first disc. I'm going to agree with Mark. I'm going to go with I'm So Tired. I scratched off Happiness
So good.
because I love Happiness as a warm gun, but I also like the plain, dark meaning of I'm So Tired as well.
Mm-hmm.
And on the second disc, I did the same thing. One on disc 1, one on disc 2. I went with Your Blues. That's just a jam. They jam on that track. And then also,
Okay.
Everybody's Got Something to Hide is also a jam. I mean, they're just stretching out.
Yeah.
And John's songs were great on the White Album, also because they were also different. He
Mhm.
was quiet, he was loud, he was dangerous. He covered it all. So this
Mhm.
was a big moment for John on the White Album. I think he was already wanting to step away, and then you can tell by the difference between him and
Yeah.
Paul on this album. You can tell the big difference between these two, how they'll go different roads here. All right, guys, the next album we're going to cover, Abbey Road.
Abbey Road. Oh,
Are you gonna skip Yellow Submarine?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I had Yellow
Yeah,
Submarine.
I was going
Because Yellow Submarine's their 10th.
Yellow
UK.
Submarine should be Hey Bulldog is sweet. That should be
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hey Bulldog is what I picked
Yeah,
on
but
Yellow
that's
Hey
what I was
Bulldog's
talking to
my
Mike,
pick.
where I'm like, I come back and put All You Need Is Love on that one.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
pretty quick summary. Hey Bulldog.
Hey Bulldog, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out Heinz Zendelman for the art on Yellow Submarine. But yeah, Hey
All right.
Bulldog's such a freaking jam.
Yeah.
But all right, Mark, go with your Abbey Road.
Abbey Road. Well, we did an episode on this that finally hit 100 downloads. Abbey Road.
Woo.
And Charles, I knew he was going to pick the songs. I let him pick it because he's like, he knows more about the Beatles than I do. I give him that on that, and it fucking rules. But I Want You, She's So Heavy. It's like the best song on that album. It's fucking metal. It's fucking harmonies. It's just such a perfect song. I fucking love that song. I knew Charles would pick it, so I didn't pick it on that episode. But that's my song.
Mark, I'm sorry, Mike. Which way are you going to go?
Oh man, this was a struggle for me, but I had to go with "I Want You, She's So Heavy" for many of the same reasons Mark said. I mean, it's 7 minutes and 47 seconds. It's very dark, heavy, not like metal heavy, but heavy. I mean, I don't even "She's So Heavy." I mean, I don't know. It's just a really cool song, and I like that whole riff, that da 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 da. It's just a really great song, man.
Yeah, it is. Charles.
Well, let's keep it alive with "I Want You, She's So Heavy," which I think is, I think it is early metal. I think it's more so even than Helter Skelter, which I think
I disagree with that
doomy.
completely.
Metal.
But it's, man, Helter Skelter is heavy for the time.
I hear it about. So
come
here's
on,
I
man.
Want You
riff.
is Black Sabbath though. I Want
hear a
You,
lot
She's
of
So Heavy
punk.
is more
Very
Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Really
I hear a
though,
lot
the
of-
Helter
Yeah,
Skelter.
it's more Black Sabbath.
No.
It's
I hear
more
a lot
Black
of
Sabbath
punk
than
in
Helter
that.
Skelter. Sorry, Charles.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying that riff, that doom riff that's going on throughout, is
Oh, I'm not saying
I mean,
it's
it's
not influential on metal, but Helter
atmospheric.
Skelter was pretty fucking heavy for the time. I mean,
It
the only
was.
reason why Paul McCartney wrote it was because I forget whose song it was, but it wasn't even that.
I
He
think
said
I
it's
can
The
see
Who,
for
right?
miles. It was
okay,
the
now
Who.
that's a
I can
good
see
song,
for
but I don't
miles.
think
Yeah.
that
It is.
song's that heavy.
No.
Like, I don't see why it's like that was like so raunchy or so. It's like, all right, it's a cool song. Don't get me wrong, I like that. It's a great song.
Nothing.
It's not heavy though.
But man, Helter Skelter, man. I mean,
Oh yeah,
especially for
no,
the
I mean,
time. I mean, you're talking, fuck, dude.
I would
But-
never get upset about that. That's true. I mean, I think it's. I also hear elements of punk in it as well.
And I think the original version, the single version, the good version of Revolution is pretty fucking heavy.
Yeah, that's heavy shit too. And
And this one, I mean, it's a great song. I picked it, so.
I mean, shit, there's there's elements, like I said, and everybody's got something to hide, but me and my monkey, and that, I mean, you can hear it. It wasn't like they couldn't have done something like that, and I think they did it again here. And the one thing, you get the little bossa nova thing in the middle. I mean, that might change it up, but Paul's just incredible with his bass playing on here, and he's just goofing around. You can hear him making jokes at the end, and you just hear all this whoop whoop whoop. He's just, I mean, they're just getting it. I love how it cuts. It just cuts out. Just silence. It was done at Olympia Studios, I believe. I don't think it was done at Abbey Road. Trident. My fault. See,
Yeah.
that's
No,
like
you're good.
4:30, but at
You're
least I'm
good.
not. I'm
No,
in that
yeah,
same
you're
city.
awake at 4:30 in the morning. You're
Same
fine.
city, but I just love that song, even though
Um,
it just says "I want you." She's so heavy over and over and over again.
so
But
good.
hey,
That was the
you know,
Vocal Masters were at
yeah,
Trident, but
you don't
yeah.
need deep lyrics all the time to rock
Mm-mm.
out. So I'm gonna go with that.
Good try. Kate.
We might have a sweep on this one, depending on Andy, but I'm going with I Want You. She's so heavy as well. This one, like you guys said, is just so good. That heavy metal feel to it. It's definitely, like Mark said, feels very like pre-Sabbath.
Stoner rock.
It's the first one to be recorded for this album, but it's the last song to be completed for the entire album as well. You got the Moog, you got synthesizers, you got all this stuff going on. Like I said, the Vocal Masters were recorded at Trident, but there was something about the quality of vocals at Trident that they liked that I've read about before, that there's some stuff that was recorded there and then they do all this, like putting it together at Abbey Road, obviously. But this is like Billy Preston's there finally, and Billy Preston's doing Hammond organ for this.
The fifth Beatle.
The fifth
Yeah.
Beatle.
Besides George Martin.
Yeah, I count George Martin because he's on way more stuff of theirs as the fifth Beatle. But you know, in
well,
that
maybe
like
the sixth one then.
Yeah, when you see like Get Back and you see how much stuff he was doing when they were doing Abbey Road and Let It Be, I mean, he obviously is a significant influence, and I think just such a good character to pop in and like
Stop
a
all the
distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah, where like he's like a very unifying character where he's like a good distraction from all their infighting. So give him credit if he's the fifth Beatle. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we'll make him the sixth one because, yeah, George Martin's definitely.
George Martin's
There's
on
no
so
doubt.
much stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, both such incredible powerhouses to help keep the Beatles together and add so much to the music of just, instead of it just being the four. But this song, so good. You guys know. You guys all picked it for a reason.
I was just looking because I'm writing down everybody's list, and I just glanced at Mark's.
Yeah.
Within a 6-month period from 63 to 69, he went from Ask Me Why to I Want You. That's crazy. And a 6-year period, considering what music is now, where it takes forever to come out with a new album. It just sounds like one as it was before, nothing new.
I mean, it's wild in the beginning. They're dropping 2 albums a year.
A lot of bands were doing that.
And they were required
Rush,
to.
Sabbath,
that was stuff in the UK.
Yeah.
They were required to drop 2 albums and 2 to 4 singles a year. That's crazy. And they're touring and all the other shit. So like once they switch, how I said they ended up stopping touring and that. But I'm like, holy crap, to think about being able to drop albums that quick.
And it's crazy that it's all high quality.
Well, I mean, but look how many of the awesome bands we love, even in the 70s, that were putting out 2 records a year. Zeppelin, Aerosmith, Kiss, Sabbath, Rush. I mean, they were all AC/DC. I mean, and I mean, all of them amazing records. It's just like, it's mind-blowing when you stop and think about it.
It's pretty wild. Yeah.
But like Kate said, this is going to be a sweep because I went without you. She's so heavy. You gotta have that, man. It's crazy. And I'm not gonna say this word for word or verbatim, but if y'all listen to the Abbey Road 3LP 50th edition, they're starting this song, okay? And I think it's like take something. I'm not too sure, but Paul tells John, "Hey, there's a guy out there that says we're too loud." And John's like, "What guy?" Paul goes, "I don't know. There's just some guy walking by." John goes, "Okay, let's do this one more time.
Turn it up
as loud as we can." They started off and just look at it. It's just so and John's all like, "It's 2 in the morning. Who's walking by?" It's like so funny. Such a good point. All right. We have reached Let It Be. There wasn't that many tracks that stuck out to me by John. So let's see what we come up with. Mark.
Across the Universe. I think that's his best song on that album. I don't know if this will be a clean sweep, but it's a fucking trippy song.
Mhm.
Fucking great lyrics to it.
You actually
I like
like that hippie shit on that one?
Yeah, I like some John hippiness. I just don't like the hippies that turn into yuppies later and tell you how to vote. But
Yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah.
Across the universe, man.
All right, Mike, which way are you going to go on this one?
Across the universe, it's a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. Lyrically, I love John's voice on it. The musicianship is just a fucking great song, man. Always been one of my all-time favorite Lennon songs, man. Love it.
I love his play on words.
Yes.
That song, it's amazing. And the way that I had heard it, he wrote it in his kitchen after having an argument with Cynthia. He left the bedroom and went to the kitchen in the middle of the
Yeah. He said she just wouldn't stop talking.
night.
Yeah.
All right, Charles, what's your pick on Let It Be?
See, I'm Bucket Trend. I've never really liked Across the Universe. I think it's
what
lyrically, the lyrics are fine, but there's just something about it doesn't do anything for me. And actually, Let It Be as an album doesn't do a lot for me. The songs I do like are usually the single edits, whether it's Let It Be or Get Back or I mean, I can't. I would have said Dig a Pony, but I don't even really like that song too much. Dig It. I'm gonna go with Dig It.
Oh shit, the shortest.
Because I don't really like. I think Let It Be is a weaker album by them.
We did a review
My
with
least
Andy
favorite.
on Freeform on that album.
Yeah, the full LPs. I mean, I would pick Yellow Submarine last because of those corny George Martin songs. Love the movie, but I don't like the second half of the album. So that would be last. And I put Let It Be right above it.
Oh, wow.
So it's just, I'm not big.
Well,
I
mean,
this album a lot.
I think you could kind of tell because wasn't Let It Be supposed to be the record? It was supposed to be Get Back, right? And that was the album that they were gonna make, and then they didn't. Then they go ahead and they do Abbey Road, and then kind of just threw this out there.
Phil Spector, man, fucked it up.
Yeah, I know McCartney's. I mean, there's like that whole "Let It Be Naked" that Paul was very, very involved with because he did
I
not
don't think
like
it's that great either.
You know, but
necessary. Well, the full version of Dig It is on the remastered deluxe set, so it's just one long jam song. I liked where they were going with it. But whichever. I mean, like I say, I'm just not a big. The single, which I probably won't touch on Past Masters. Actually, I preferred to Dig a Pony. If they would have switched and put the single instead of Dig a Pony, I would have picked it easily. So, Don't Let Me Down, which I won't pick, but on Past Masters. But I do like it better than Dig a Pony. So.
I understand. Yeah, and you would hear the I guess not top quality work. I'll let it be because they let others put it together for them. I mean,
and they were fighting, and it was bad vibes, and it's just it comes through in the music. I mean, I prefer George's and Paul's songs on this album.
Yeah.
Well, I think Paul's got some real winners on here, man.
Oh, totally.
I mean, The Long and Winding Road. Are you kidding me? Let It Be. I mean,
yeah, but I like the single edits better than I do on the album. So.
Yeah.
And the Long and Winding Road I like better on Anthology 3, and also on a Let It Be Naked without the orchestra and without the choir and all that, and with the changed lyrics as well.
Now the film Get Back, A-OK. Nothing wrong with the film at all.
So good.
Great film.
Oh God, it was just so awesome just to see them work.
Yeah. I mean, you're watching them write songs that are fucking classics to us.
Yeah.
It was kind of very surrealistic.
You're a fly on the wall watching them.
Yeah,
and it was so cool, man.
Watching
the way he worked up Get Back from nothing, and you just get to see that. It's like, whoa, this is so
amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
And it's
Freaking
really
George
cool.
Harrison quits. You have to go
Yeah.
get him back.
And John smacked out of his mind, and
Yeah.
you see it. And
Yeah.
it's got
Telling
its
Paul he's
good
the
and bad.
boss. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was such a great film.
Yeah.
But John will get there so early and see him over and over, keep on working on "Don't Let Me Down" over and over and over, even with help or without. Sometimes just him and George, and they're waiting for the others to get there. It's just so awesome how they just work it, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
shame that it had to be the end. But then also, if it wasn't the end, would we be talking about them this way? It's just amazing what they did in such a short period of time.
Oh,
Kate,
dude,
yeah, yeah.
it's
I
mind
mean,
blowing.
7 years of recording all this.
Just take 10 what they recorded how many years. Compare that to any other great band. Their material just kicks their ass.
Well, as Mark's boy Kurt Cobain said, nobody came so fast in such a short, progressed in such a
Mm-hmm.
limited amount of time, like
Yeah.
the Beatles, and I have to echo that.
Yeah, with everything that they did in that short period of time, it's amazing when you talk to people about their albums. They think real, people that are casual Beatle fans don't know that there's only 12. They think that there's 50 or 60 albums.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's just 12. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, Kate.
Um,
What's it to be?
this one, just like Charles said, this album's lower on the list for me, but I did echo what Mark and Mike picked. I went with Across the Universe. I love the style of this one, and I love the way it sounds. It's such a different song, and it keeps continuing in that. I feel like this is in that same vein of like Within You, Without You, and that transcendental meditation and that huge influence from them being with the Maharishi, whether he was a creep or not. I think he was a good influence on their music.
The lyrics are phenomenal. I will
Yeah,
say that.
the
He was-
Jaguru Deva Om is a mantra in Sanskrit. It means like victory to God divine, which is interesting to keep chanting over and over, but it's like hail the divine guru. And I really think John had that thing in his head that this guy really was like
Oh,
how I
some
said
sort.
earlier. I said he's like this like second coming in his mind. He really got convinced of that. And I don't know if it was just being there and being on hallucinogens
Well, and
or
I
if he
think
needed that in his life, like he needed that influence from not having like a father figure kind of thing going on. I always think of stuff like that with him, that he had a really troubled and sad childhood. There's just a lot of he's not to be hokey, but he is like the Onion, how they're talking about it. He is just such an enigma. There's so much going on in him, but I think you really hear it. And he says this is the best lyrics he ever wrote. This was in his opinion.
yeah.
Lyrics are great.
Yeah,
No doubt.
yeah,
Mike,
yeah.
There,
you gonna add something?
yeah,
Yeah, go
the
ahead,
fact
Mike.
that you were talking about the Maharishi and all that, like obviously it affected the whole band, but there's no denying that. I mean, especially George Harrison. I mean, he was all about it, like that's
Heavy
him
duty.
probably playing the sitar and stuff
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that
yeah.
song, and that's why, to me, George Harrison's just as important as the other three. Care what anybody says.
Yeah.
George is my favorite, so I'll always defend George.
All right. See, great minds think alike, Katie.
Almost a clean sweep if it wasn't for Charles Diggett. I'm gonna go with Across the Universe as well. It's always been one of my favorite songs, but also I think this was even written in '68 before the White Album because there was a song that was given to the World Party Universe or something like that. It was some kind of charity.
It's a World Wildlife Fund thing, yeah.
World Wildlife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had some apple scruffs on backing vocals. They pulled up the street.
They have that like No One's Gonna Change Our World dirty album.
Yeah.
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 And also that's where when they released it as the single on Past Masters, that's why they have the birds in the beginning of
Yeah.
it because
Yeah.
of what the foundation
And I
was.
really don't like that version.
Yeah,
That's
it's
even
funny. Some of
worse.
the past Masters versions of stuff I love. Like, I'll get to it when we talk about it. I'll
Right.
get to one of
Like-
them,
like
but
Carl
some
said,
of them are just not right in my head.
as
It's
good as
weird.
it was before, because you probably didn't hear it like that the first time.
Yeah. I
And-
think it's whatever radio play you got,
Yeah.
because there's
It's
certain
whatever-
versions that were the big radio play versus the album version, which is funny. So that's my head is
Well, it's like
definitely
Revolution is way better on Past Masters than
We'll get to that. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely how my head goes.
Speaking of Past Masters, it's 2 songs off Past Masters. Mention both.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Mark.
Bad Boy, it's kind of Chuck Berry-ish, like in Cool Rocker. I like that. And then Rain just rules. It's like
Yeah,
those are my favorite 2 off those 2.
this was hard for me. It really was, because this is
Yeah, same.
you know their A's
Same.
and B's. It's crazy.
Mhm.
They would release A's and B's like this. That's not even.
Mhm.
Mike, what are you gonna go with?
Man, I gotta go with Mark, Bad Boy. And for my second one though, I could have picked Revolution, the good version. Shots fired. I could have went with the ballad John and Yoko, even though I can't stand Yoko. I love that fucking song.
That song's great.
The other version of Across the Universe is amazing, but man, Don't Let Me Down. I always have loved that song. Billy Preston's just killing it on the organ, and the band's tight, and John's just, you can just tell he's all in love, and which I don't get, but hey, bro, more power to you if it makes you write cool songs like that, I guess.
They should have put it on the album. They should put it on there.
That should have
Yeah, I
been on
don't know
the
why
album.
that wasn't on Let It Be or
And and
something.
it's what's funny, like when I got older and started doing more of a deeper dive into the Beatles albums, I was shocked when I realized, like, I always assumed that Strawberry Fields was part of
Sgt. Pepper or
Sgt.
something.
Pepper.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was just a
Weird.
single,
Yep.
I'm like, get the fuck out of here, kind of
Yep.
thing. But yeah,
It's
so
crazy.
yeah. But yeah, those are my picks.
Yeah.
And the flip side was Penny Lane, if I'm not.
Yeah, it was. It
Yeah,
was a
and I
double
love
A-side
that song
single.
too, man. Fuck.
The
Double A-side single. Strawberry Fields was the broke the streak of #1. Engelbert Humperdinck, Release Me was #1.
Wow. That's another one.
Enough
You always
said
thought
on that.
that
Mic drop.
Feels Forever was the #1 hit. I remember
Yeah.
when my cousin had bought. Of course, I'm more of a Beatle person than my cousin. When he had bought Beatles 1, he goes, "Where's Strawberry Fields?" I said it was never a #1 track.
Yep.
Mhm.
Penny Lane was.
Yes, Penny.
But-
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not Strawberry Fields.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
My picks, disc 1 is going to be This Boy.
Oh yes.
Just beautiful.
Mhm.
Another one George Harrison loved there, Katie.
Yeah.
So, he
Mhm.
dug it. There's footage of him
He
watching
loves
it.
that. Oh yeah.
Great song.
When they were young.
Disc 2, I'm going to go with You Know My Name, Look Up the Number. No, I'm joking, even though I do like that a lot. I like the version on Anthology better, though. But I'm going to buck a trend in one of the rare instances where a primarily Lennon-penned piece was sung by Paul McCartney. I play the riff to this day, Day Tripper.
Yeah.
That was a primarily
Good song.
John-written song, but he thought Paul sung the verses better, so he let him sing it, and I love it. Now, Revolution, if you really like it, listen to it on Beatles Love, because it was properly corrected by Giles Martin, the best in the business on remastering, and you get the full stereo version. Because if not, make sure you listen to it on mono masters, because it sounds way better on mono.
Now, is this the good version though,
Yes.
as far as the heavy version? 'Cause,
Yes.
like,
The
Revolution #9.
Revolution.
No,
Revolution.
Revolution.
No 1, no 9, no
Did you
number.
Yeah,
listen to
I
it
was
on-
Revolution.
just like,
Listen
my-
to it on Beatles Love.
I remember
It's-
when I heard those other
Yeah.
versions, I was fucking horrified.
If
I
you
was like,
listen to
"Ugh."
that, if you listen
Yeah.
to the stereo mix on headphones, all the guitars is on one ear, and then you only get drums and bass. It's neutered, as Lennon
Yeah.
said, and it was. But on Beatles Love, Giles Martin corrected that, and it's full stereo, and it's
Sweet.
tremendous. So
Mhm.
Love is just an amazing compilation. It really is. Kate, what are your 2 picks on here?
I mean, Past Masters is such a cool setup because it's so many different A and B side singles that, like I said, that
Amazing what they did.
originally they weren't allowed to drop it on an album once it was dropped as a single. So, but think of how many songs off of this are huge famous songs for them, tons of radio play, and then it was never really on an album. This
Right.
is such a wild like compilation for them. Stuff off of how we were gonna say that like No One's Gonna Change Our World and Long Tall Sally EP. I mean, this is just such a incredible mix up. But anyway, I digress. I'm gonna ramble for 3 years on Beatles shit if I could. But I was gonna pick Rain. I love Rain. It was the B-side to Paperback Writer. It was supposed to be on Revolver, but yet another thing where they bump it.
Damn.
But this feel of it, like Mark picked it, like, so this isn't my pick, but I just wanted to say like the feel of it being like a Indian classical song, and there's actually no foreign instruments. There's no world instruments on that song, so that wasn't my pick. But I bumped it because I wanted to go with Revolution. The only Revolution that should be credited as Revolution 1 on White Album. Especially Revolution 9 double.
I like 9.
I know we've had this argument before, but this version of Revolution, and how Charles said it too, like if you check out the Love version where it's fixed, but thinking of Revolution in your head, this is the one that you're hearing in your head. This is the radio play one. This is like the best way to hear it, instead of that other like tap down Revolution 1 that's on White Album, but whatever. But this was the B-side to Hey Jude, and I just like this one so much more. But this was the first single released at Apple Records too, so if you can imagine, that's pretty significant for them starting their own record label and everything, and like having them drop this as their first single out of there. I think it's a pretty fab single. My second pick off of this, I had to go with Don't Let Me Down. I love that song. I love the vibe, the way the how we were talking about Billy Preston on that, just jamming away. Man, yeah, so good. I don't know. I'll shut up. But anyway, Andy, what are your 2 picks?
Yeah, my 2 picks on this one here on Past Masters. I'm going to go with Rain as the first one because I love Rain, always have.
Yeah.
Also because of Ringo's drumming. It's fantastic on that track.
Mm-hmm.
And second, I am going to go with Don't Let Me Down. I've always loved that track. It's one of my favorite songs. I don't know why it was not put in
should have been on Let It Be.
on Let It Be.
For real, man.
That would have helped save that album for me, honestly.
Yeah, because then you saw in the Get Back movie how hard he was working on it. I mean, he wanted it to be on there. It was, he made it perfect, and then I don't know why it wasn't on there. I don't know why it was bumped. I'm pretty sure it pissed him off because of how hard he worked on it.
Politics, man.
Yeah.
Politics.
So I'm going to put it in there for him with Rain and Don't Let Me Down as my 2 picks. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for doing this. I know it took time, so thanks for taking the time to do this. Tomorrow, catch me on the BS sessions with Mark and Jerry. We are going to be doing 11 songs of a Beatles disciple, Jeff Lynne, with Electric Light Orchestra.
Nice.
We're going to make our 11 favorite track album by ELO, which was really fun to do. I'm in the middle of doing that right now. Anything else anybody wants to plug in? Mark, what's going on with you on Friday?
Friday we have the what is it? Black Country Communion debut album review coming out.
Oh,
I think I liked it more than the other two. Just a little spoiler alert. But that's about it. What's going on? And also check out the Led Zeppelin Song Remains the Same episode that came out last Friday. That episode is really good with the Mooger Fooger. So
that's great.
I downloaded it. I just haven't listened to it yet.
yeah.
Mike, what do you got going on?
My live radio show Friday nights at thatmetalstation.com, the Metal Mike Show with DJ Metal Mike and friends. I'll probably be at least solo for part of it because Bildo's going to some football game or something. And my big brother, who usually, and my twin brother, who kind of do the show with me sometimes, they're both sick with COVID right now. So, so I've got that going on. And then, me and Bushy are going to be putting out, because there was something my brother made a while back. He actually made it when Eddie Van Halen died. He did it as a tribute for him. And it was something I actually aired on the show last Friday. And because what he did is he took a bunch of audio interviews with Eddie, and then he added his bells and whistles, because my brother's a master of audio editing. He's fucking fantastic at it. And then, so it's like it's almost like an audio documentary about Eddie Van Halen. Wow. And it goes through his career in each album, and then it like goes from that to me and him kind of having a roundtable discussion about Eddie Van Halen and his impact on music, because I feel like he is our generation's Jimi Hendrix. I don't see how anybody could debate that. And then we go from that to some of the DJs at the station. There was Duckett's, who's the guy who's the co-owner, who's going to be leaving here before too long. Him and Brian Davis from Damn Good Movie Memories and The Bad Beat. He does a show every Wednesday night. And then Bushy, he's on there, and he does talks about their introduction to Van Halen, how they got into him, and I've given all that content to Bushy to put on the podcast. It'll probably be a multi-part episode, so we'll have some more content coming out, because it's just too good for people not to hear. And then we're going to be recording. It's Halloween, so we're going to be recording either a King Diamond related. I think it's King Diamond Abigail, but it was either going to be that or Merciful Fate. It's kind of a Halloween thing that we've done for the last couple of years. This time, one of Mark's favorite singers of all time. Yeah.
What? I didn't say anything.
No, you didn't. I'm just messing with you, brother. Charles, I got to bust your chops, Mark.
Yeah.
Charles, what do you got coming up?
Whatever we got on Freeform.
Okay. Are you doing anything with Lee coming up?
No, just he's taking song ideas and making songs from ideas I had. Pretty neat.
Yeah,
I have nothing to do with writing it though. I just give him ideas, and he just makes a song.
So what do you do? Like give him a subject matter, and then he writes.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's pretty neat.
The last couple ones he did, I was like, "That's pretty cool," So
I actually gave him lyrics. He did like about 6 or 7 of mine. I gave him lyrics, and he added lyrics to it.
Cool.
He's fucking cool at that. And I say, hey, Lee, make me a song. I want to put this in it. And he goes, yeah, I got that. It's fucking cool.
Cool. And Kate, what's going on with you?
I don't know. I saw Ringo on Saturday, and I want to tell everyone, if you have a chance to go see Ringo, go see him. I know some of you guys said he missed him, but that was awesome. And like Mark said, Edgar Winter's a freaking trip. He talks like an old radio DJ. Like, you'd have to hear it. I don't know. It's just so funny. But we have our new pod. I haven't finished editing the episode, but the 3 Shots Down with Jerry, Andy, and I'm going to drop soon. I'll post that in Black Spinner and everything when I get it finished. But I've been sick with COVID and had obviously a couple deaths and different crazy shit going on in my life. So when that drops, if you guys will press that, that'd be cool.
I will definitely check it out.
3 Shots Down, our episode's about Brad Delp. I mean, it's pretty intense. I want to say that's like a huge maybe trigger warning for some people, because obviously it's a lot about suicide, but pretty interesting. I don't know what else I got going on. I mean, whatever else pops off with you guys for any of the other shows. So, yeah. Andy, what do you got going on? What's coming up next?
Yeah, tomorrow I will be on the BS sessions with Mark and
Mhm.
Jerry doing ELO.
That'll
And
be a fun one.
we have 3 shots down. We are already kicking the tires on the second episode. That will be about Sid Barrett,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
we are already
cool.
starting off with that and assigning who's going to be doing what, which is a really cool thing of how we're doing this. And y'all will see how the segments fall into place when the Boston show comes out. But that's about it for next week. We're going to be doing a vinyl battle here on Black Spinner Circle. Um, I've got my picks already, but I'm not too sure yet. But if it's going to come out the way I want it to, because I got to look at song tracks, it's going to be White Snake's 1987 album against Hysteria. I'm going to see if the songs align for that with both of them.
White Snake.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I
Clean
don't
sweep.
know. I don't
Clean
know about
sweep.
that one. I love Hysteria.
So
My
gonna-
condolences.
I
Yeah.
think I listen to Hysteria more than a White Snake album.
My
Oh,
condolences.
that's what's wrong with you. That's what's wrong with you. Right
That's
First
there.
the
3 Def
problem
Leppard
is-
albums is where it's at. The first 3. After that,
Hey,
it's
they
out.
rule too, man. But I love Hysteria.
My
That's
favorite
awesome.
jokes ever. What has 9 arms and sucks?
Yeah.
Well, the one where Mark and Brian said where Rick, was it Rick? He what's the guy, the drummer? His name
Rick
Allen.
Allen.
He hits him with a
Yeah.
right, then he hits him with another right, and he hits him with another right at the airport. Remember the airport where he hit his wife in the airport?
Yikes!
The
Yeah.
Mark and
Yeah,
Brian.
so- I know it's great. So when people come out, if they ever come at me for making fun of him for having one arm, he beat up a woman with one
Yeah.
arm.
Yeah.
There you go.
Not the nicest fellas. I
Hey,
don't know.
I love me
About
some 9
Def
arm.
Leppard.
I love me some 10 arm. I love all Def Leppard, man. Like I love both Van Halen's with the rings over the
Both.
wings.
There is no both, sir. There is no both.
All right. Well, once again, thanks a lot, guys, and thanks a lot for watching out there. Thank you for the comments, especially the one who said, "I'm sorry, I didn't get to join you guys tonight." That was Al. He was supposed to
Al.
be here tonight,
Shout out Al.
but
Hey, Al.
Al couldn't make it. But it was a wonderful show. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. So
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, truly an
Thank
honor.
you.
Thank you, Andy.
Thanks
Thank
for setting it up, Andy. Always fun.
Oh well, thank
For
you.
sure.
So
All
y'all
right.
have a good
Get to
night.
feeling better, Katie.
Thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate it. Sorry, the vibe probably was a little off, but COVID sucks.
Yes,
And-
it does.
In fact, you hit it very well because you were wonderful tonight.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Love you guys. Always a good time.
All right.
Always fun. Bye, y'all.
Stay healthy,
Bye.
y'all. All right.
See you tomorrow, man.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.